What's new, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the pre-show. We're gonna kind of get live here in just a minute. We will be going live also on. We'll be going live also on the Funked Up app and live, but you are tuned in to the pre-show, so that's kind of where we're focused right now, and just kind of want to make sure that you guys are, on the same page and whatnot. So, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody's doing good. And we will get started here in just a minute and gonna have some fun. Again, this is a pre-show. For those of you who are new to this, we do this for about 15 minutes, I guess, and then we kind of go into the actual regular show. And so we're gonna kind of just get all that situated and whatnot. And welcome, Charlotte. Hello, Donna. Hello. And again, for those who are just tuning in, this is just the pre-show, and then we started at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is a mere, 14 minutes from right now. So the first 14 minutes of this is just me just chatterboxing, and then we break into the actual show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Johnny, what's going on? Tanya, what's going on? Andre, I need light. Says the guy who always sits in the dark. Yeah. Eddie, what's going on, man? Yeah, so I was actually going to take tonight off, and I did reach out. April, what's going on? I did reach out to Microwave, his manager, and didn't hear anything back. And I know they're supposed to be releasing some brand new music tonight. I mean, or some point today. So I might end up doing like a spur of the moment show tomorrow, maybe, possibly. I don't know. We will absolutely take a look and see. But man, it's just kind of one of those scenarios. David, what's going on, man? Hello, Cammie. Hello. Hope you're feeling well. Cammie, I got your letter in the mail today. I will forward that on for sure. Raywin, Prince Sign of the Times Peach vinyl is on the way. You order it from Amazon. That's kind of have. But I did not order the excuse me. I did not order the peach vinyl. So, Eddie says, when is the Maserati album chat happening? I'm telling you, it's right now. I talked to Brown Mark about that, and what Brown Mark is doing, Brown Mark is actually in the process of remixing that album. So the Maserati album and Brown Mark's previous albums are all going to be remastered and re-released. So that is in the works. So right now I'm just trying to work through all that stuff with him. And yeah, absolutely going to do that. And I want to do that album chat, but Brown Mark would definitely like to be involved. And so I got to make sure that he can be. Cassandra, hello. Brandy, what's going on? Wally, where'd you get those sunglasses? Wally, you know what, Wally, we got to talk, brother, because next week, part 4 of this Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, we're going to have the song Wally that we're going to be talking about next week, and I definitely want you on board for that. Such an amazing song. And you know what I heard today, Wally? I did hear Billy's Sunglasses. I did hear that version of the song, and that obviously is nowhere near what Wally's Sunglasses was, because Billy's Sunglasses is just a I don't know. It was kind of like just a placeholder, because he didn't even sing anything. He didn't do any lyrics. He didn't do any of that stuff. He just kind of did nothing. And he said, Billy, where'd you get those glasses? Those are the ugliest glasses I've ever seen. That's what he says in Billy's. Wally, it's an honor to have you on board, brother. Cammie says, sitting in isolation and need my purple friends now. Well, here we are. Lisa, what's going on? Elroy, what's going on? Elroy from the ATL. Welcome. Here we are in the ATL, the forever cursed city of Atlanta. I only have a 0-5 Falcons. Actually, I'll take it back. I take that back. 1-5 Falcons. I take that back. 1-5 Falcons, and an Atlanta Braves that went to the NCALS and was leading a best-of-7 series 3-1, and went out Atlanta style and lost 3 games in a row and didn't get to go to the World Series. So welcome to Atlanta. I tell you what, if it wasn't for Atlanta United, our soccer team, one would believe that we were actually cursed. It's just reality. It's good to see the Steelers doing so well. First time the Steelers have had a 5-0 start. If you can imagine this, first time the Steelers have had a 5-0 start since 1978 when Terry Bradshaw was at the helm. Steelers have not been started a season 5-0 since 1978. If you can believe that, that's just ridiculous. What's going on? Yeah, Titus. Yeah, we got the Dodgers, you know. I mean, the Dodgers are doing well. It's all good. Jeff, what's going on from London? Lisa. April said the estate replaced by Peach Vinyl. The post office lost. It's on the way. See, what did I tell you, April? You shouldn't have freaked out. Yeah, I know you were freaking out because they lost the mail. But as I told you, it's not your responsibility. It's supposed to be being sent to you. So if they lose it, that's on them. That's not you. So I'm glad it got taken care of. Absolutely. Jamie, what's going on? Yeah, so man, very, very cool. We got part 3 of 4 tonight, where we are going to be talking about a bunch of different songs. We're going to be talking about 12 songs, 12. And it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We are talking about all kinds of just insanity. It's so many songs on the list tonight. So many songs. I saw somebody ask a question about Eddie said, "Oh, Eddie, Chris, did you pick out a fave vault track so far out of this collection?" Kind of tough. All My Dreams, I've always liked. I've always been a fan of All My Dreams. But that was before. But the new tracks that I hadn't heard, we're going to be covering one of them tonight, and it's Blanche. I freaking love Blanche. I think Blanche is an amazing song. It's so good. It's so upbeat. He's got a different little screen that he does there. It's really, really cool. I really love Blanche. It's going to be fun. Share. Hi, excited for today's show. Man, I'm telling you, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. Game 1 of the World Series, but I will be listening still. I can't not listen to you. Renee says, my Tuesday addiction from DC. Appreciate it. Jeff says Cosmic Day. Cosmic Day is a good one. That is a good one. Because, and what's surprising about Cosmic Day is that Cosmic Day was only like a minute and a half long. And then, so when we saw it on there and it was like, well, the version that I had was only like a minute and a half. So it was like an excerpt. I'm wearing the Paisley Park shirt from when they did the album release party at Paisley Park. And this was the shirts that they gave us. Another big shout out to Nick Garcia and fam for inviting me along. We got to hang out at Paisley Park and watch that 1987 New Year's Eve concert at Paisley Park using their sound system, although it wasn't turned up and done really well, but it is what it is. Got a shirt out of it. It was good. But I got to hang out with Nick, and it was fun. We had a good time. Greg says, what do you think of Tommy Lee's When You Were Mine? You know, I think I heard an excerpt of that, but I haven't heard the whole song. I need to make sure that I listen to the whole song. I have not heard the whole thing yet. It's just, some songs are better than others. I would love to hear, not this would ever happen, but I would love to hear Switchfoot do a Prince song, because I love that guy's voice from Switchfoot, and I just think he would do something really weird, and it would just be amazing. So all kinds of really cool stuff. Shirley, hello from beautiful Philadelphia. How's the weather up there in Philly? I heard it was kind of cold up there. Is it cold up there or is it not? It must be cold. I've heard it was cold. It's got a little chilly down here in Atlanta at nighttime. We get, matter of fact, this past weekend, I had to DJ a wedding, and I DJ'd a wedding up near Helen, Georgia, which is up in the mountains. It's kind of northeast up in the mountains, and it was cold. So I was like out and the wedding and the reception were outside. So it was like right around 42 degrees up in the mountains. So it's like mountains cold. And I'm outside and I can see my breath and everything. And it was fun though. We had a good time, and they were drinking and dancing, and it was good. It was amazing. Ashley Tamar in the house. What is going on? Ashley Tamar in the house. What is going on, girl? Man, I have not seen you in forever. I hope you're doing well, girl. I appreciate you coming in. That is so awesome. Thank you. Listen, anytime Tamar's in the house, it's all good. Andre said, I haven't heard it put on the radio station. I'm not sure what that is, what you're referring to, Andre, but that doesn't surprise me. That's normally how it is with Andre. Andre will just, his fingers get ahead of, he doesn't stay in the train of thought. He's he's awesome that way. But, yes. Tamar's in the house, y'all. Okay. So we are having a good time. We're all hanging out here. And tonight, again, we're doing part 3 of 4. We only got one more song, then we're going to go live. It's doing the Ballad of Dorothy Parker from 1987, which they don't have thing. You remember this, right? Yeah, you remember this. So anyways, that is Ballad of Dorothy Parker from Munich, 1987 soundboard. After the song is over, we're going to start the show live. Again, if you get just tuning in, this is the pre-show. This is nothing going on other than me just talking to folks. For those who are not familiar with this process, this is the video version of what we do audio-wise on Funked Up at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is about 3 minutes from right now. We will be going live. I'll be pressing this button that's on the computer here, and we will be worldwide all over the place. And everybody that's listening on the Funked Up app on their phones and on Funkatopia.com and on Facebook, which you already are, YouTube, Twitch, all these places, everybody's going to go live all at the same time. But you guys get a little bit of a bonus of this 15-minute pre-show, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Tonight we'll be talking a bunch of songs, 12 songs off of the vault from this is the third part, almost done. After this one, we only have 12 more songs to go, and we'll have covered all 3 of the vault disc that came in Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. So we'll be doing that for sure. And man, I tell you what, it's all good. It's all good. So we're going to be having a good time tonight. And if you want to listen to the music, if you're not, you want to hang out and you want to sit and talk for, talk for a little bit, you absolutely positively can talk for a little bit. And, come here, chat it up. But if you want to listen to the music, you need to be listening on the Funked Up app and doing this at the same time. So when I start playing music, you can turn up the Funked Up app. I cannot play music directly on here because if I do, then Facebook shuts me off because of all these algorithms in place. And YouTube does as well. They start muting stuff or they'll delete the whole entire video. So if you want to listen to the music, make sure that you've got the Funked Up app started or have Funkatopia.com in another tab. You just click listen live and it's all good. Yeah, it's so good to see all these people here. Mickey, what's going on? I am just beside myself. Thank you so much. I've got 2 stars in the house here. Wally Safford, where'd you get those? Wally, where'd you get those glasses? Safford in the house. Plus, on top of that, the beautiful, loved, and blessed Ashley Tamar in the house as well. We're going to have fun tonight. We're going to be talking about a dozen songs tonight. And then next Tuesday, we will also be doing the last dozen songs from the 3 CD sets that we have. Plus, on top of that, we also will have at the beginning of next week's show. We're also going to have Melvin Riley, lead vocalist for Ready for the World. So, Ready for the World will be on next week at the beginning of the show. And then we'll break into the last 12. So Melvin Riley, I'm going to give him the first hour of the show. So you guys want to hang out. If you guys are Ready for the World fans, a little bit of Oh Sheila, Ceramic Girl, all that stuff. He's going to be here next week at the beginning of the show. So absolutely be there for that. Don't go anywhere else. And then we'll finish off this. But tonight we're doing tonight. Lynn says, I'm looking a little bit like Wolfman Jack. Well, all right, everybody. Here we go. We're going to have a good time tonight. Tonight, we're doing some top 40. Do a little Wolfman Jack for you. I'll just talk like Wolfman Jack all night. Thank you for tuning in. I tell you, if they do a movie, I might be able to pull that off. I might be able to play like the young Wolfman Jack. All right, we're going live. I'm going to shut up. 18 seconds to go. We were talking about Gilbert Gottfried too. I wanted to try to get him on the show. And I started doing him, and I thought, I could probably do his impression and get away with it. This is Gilbert Gottfried. Thank you for tuning in. Anyways, here we go. We're going live now. In 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Gotta make sure my throat's clear for this. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. So much to cover, so much to cover. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to go and just get right into it. Welcome one and all to Funkatopia Live. You're listening on the Funked Up app and worldwide everywhere. If you want to be a part of the show and kind of chat and talk amongst each other and go back and forth and whatnot, you absolutely positively can. We got lots of people in the chat room on YouTube. That's YouTube and also Facebook. Facebook has got the most people right now. Facebook.com/Funkatopia. That's Facebook.com/Funkatopia. And of course, they are sitting along with you guys, the hundreds and hundreds of listeners that are listening right now all around the world on the Funked Up app. You guys are listening to the audio only version. And if you want the video version, you absolutely can do it. Just go to Facebook.com/Funkatopia. And on top of that, you can also go to YouTube and look for Funkatopia and tune into the channel there as well. Tonight, we are going to be having a good time. Tonight, we are going to be doing 12 more songs from the Vault CDs. There's 3 CDs that came with Sign of the Times, Super Deluxe. And there was so many unreleased, previously unreleased Vault tracks, 3 CDs worth. And we've been covering a dozen a night. I think the first night we did like about 14 or 15, I think. And then the following night we did like 11. Tonight we're doing 12. And then next week we're doing 12 as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And tonight we've got a bunch of music, and a bunch of background stories too, and a couple of rabbit holes to go down, which I know that a lot of you are fans of rabbit holes. Sometimes I just can't control myself. There's a story that's going on in my head and I end up just going down it. And I've actually pre-written out my rabbit holes this time. So it'll be fine. I'm going to try to keep those little journeys under control for sure. Also, next week, we will be finishing off this 4-part series, Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Vault tracks. We don't even have a name for this series. It's just a 4-part series where we're covering the 4 Vault tracks and the 3 Vault CDs that are packed with all these tracks. And next week, we will be finishing up with part 4. But the first part of next week's show will be the one and only Melvin Riley, lead singer for Ready for the World. He will be with us at the beginning of the show. So the first hour we'll be sitting down with Melvin Riley, kind of talking all Ready for the World stuff. So any Ready for the World fans out there, you don't want to be anywhere else. Right here, other than Funkatopia, this is where you want to be. All right, you guys ready? Let me make sure that, let me check with everybody. Jamie says Minnesota is getting snow. Honey, what's going on? Lynn says cough, cough, raspberry beret. I don't know what that means. Yes, it is. Let's see here. Cher says no captions tonight. Actually, the captions are typically done after the show is already broadcast. That's pretty typical. For some reason or another, I guess it kind of runs through their system, and then once it gets posted, then it starts doing the captions. I don't know that the captions are necessarily done live, or if you kind of come in a little bit later. I don't know what's kind of going on with the captions part of it, but one thing I do know for a fact is that I've been missing my little Funkatopia logo in the upper right-hand corner here, and I'm kind of a little bit bummed out about that. Actually, my left, your right. But there was a little Funkatopia logo that's up in the corner, and it's been missing for a while. And I took it down because I had a guest on. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who was on. I think it was Microwave, I think. And that was just over his head or was just too close to his face. So I took it down and I never put it back up. It's up there now. All right. So let's do this. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I am all, okay, we're going to go right into it. It's part 3 of a 4-part series for Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. We're talking about the vault tracks. As mentioned, you guys can listen to the audio if you want to watch the video and also participate in chat and hang out with a bunch of other Prince fans. You can do that. Facebook.com/Funkatopia. If you want to listen to the songs, then you need to start up the Funked Up app and play along with the video, because on the video, I can't let the songs freely play, because if I do, then YouTube in all of its glory decides that it's going to delete the video because I'm playing copyrighted music. Even though we're an ASCAP licensed radio station, it doesn't care. It just knows that the algorithm says that's a song that you don't own and we're taking it down. So there's that. All that being said, I hope you guys are ready, because we got a dozen songs to talk about tonight in part 3, and it's going to be fun. You guys ready? I'm ready. Everybody take a sip of whatever it is that you're drinking tonight, or roll them if you got them, whatever it is that you want to do. We're going into the show. Before we start part 3, I do want to say a couple of things. First off, a couple of notations of some things from part 1 and part 2 of this Sign of the Times Super Deluxe special. I go through a lot to try to find all kinds of information for you on whatever it is. If I'm going to magazines, I'm going to interviews, I'm going to books, I'm listening to audio, I'm listening to old interviews. It's a lot of work to put together these album chats. And when you have to put together an album chat, 4 of them back to back to back, 4 weeks in a row, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. I mean, it really does. It takes many, many hours and late night just kind of going through and filling in all the details. But every now and then I come across some more information that may possibly conflict with things that I said previously. So I like to make sure that I fix anything just so we all have the same information. For instance, I pride myself on making sure that you guys get accurate information. In the last episode, part 2 of 4, during the discussion about the song Big Tall Wall, I mentioned that Prince kicked Susanna Melvoin out of their house, and put her up into that apartment, that round apartment that is referred to in Big Tall Wall, the stone circle so you can't get out, put her up in an apartment. That statement came from 2 different sources, an article and a book. But during my research process for this part 3, I then read in another book that was not the case, that Susanna Melvoin actually called off their engagement, and that she was the one who moved out of the house and moved into those apartments in Lake Calhoun. So now, I don't know which story is accurate. I did reach out to Susanna. Obviously, she's got a crazy schedule with this Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, and the fact of the matter is that she is one of the primary focal points of this album. It's pretty obvious that she's very, very busy and she's doing tons of interviews. So I did reach out to her. I did ask her if she wanted to come on to the show and kind of clarify and kind of get a little bit more information about that. I just wanted the truth of it, because again, I read in one spot that Prince felt like people were getting too close to him and he just didn't like that. And so he's like, you got to go. And then I read somewhere else that was not the case, that Susanna called off the engagement because of the fact that he was being too closed. And she said, no, we're good. And she moved out. I don't know which is true. Again, I invited her on. She's been insanely busy. And once I get that detail from her, and I will make sure that you get that clarification. I know it's just a little minor detail. I know it really makes no difference whatsoever, but I like to make sure that the information you're getting is accurate. And I certainly don't want to, because let's flip the tables. Let's just say that Prince and I were engaged. Okay. And I said, Prince, this is just too much. And I call off the engagement and I move out. I take it upon myself and I move out. And then years later, decades later down the road, I hear some nutbag come on a show and say, Prince kicked Chris out of the house. I'm going to be ticked. So I want to make sure that I get the story right, because it's only fair to Susanna. I know that was kind of hard to visualize, but it's all good. Anyways, once I get that full bit of information for you, once I get that full bit of information for you, I'll make sure that you get all that stuff. It's whatever. Anyways, the second thing I wanted to clarify from part 2 is that multiple times during part 2, I mentioned that there was an intro for Dream Factory that featured a snippet of Nevea Ikalpa, which is a place in heaven backwards. And that it also had a Wendy and Lisa skit in it, where they're being carded at a club, and then Prince is talking in it. And it was supposed to be an intro. And I tried everywhere to try to find that intro at that time, and I couldn't. And then thank my lucky stars, for sure. Thank my lucky stars. Carla, Funkatopian Carla. I won't give a last name just in case, because I don't want her to get in trouble for having this or whatever. She happened to have that intro clip and she shared it. And when I played it, I was like, oh, wait, I do have this. It must be called something else. And that was why I couldn't find it. But I do have it. And of course, me being me, I put it here. So I want to make sure that you guys can hear it. And I'm going to put the microphone down and we're going to play it just for a second. And, just take a listen. So hold on a second. I'm going to play you that intro. It's all of less than a minute, but I wanted to play it for you so that you guys could hear it. And then hopefully we won't get shut down. We'll find out. Here it is. The Dream Factory intro that I was going to play last week and I didn't have, but now we have it. Here it is. Check it out. I may have to talk a little bit over this for you guys on YouTube so that you guys don't get penalized, because technically this is Nevea Ikalpa. So hopefully this will stop here in a second. Hopefully this won't cut off on YouTube. Sorry. I just want to make sure this does not get cut off for you guys. This part's safe.
We're both 21, and I don't have my ID on me. I left it at home. You're too young to be in here. No, man, you're really too old to care.
Welcome to Holly Rock. You just in time. Got the dreams you ain't using?
All right. And that was it. That was the intro. That was 50 seconds. I'm sorry for you YouTube folks and for your Facebook folks. I had to talk over some of that because that beginning part, even though this is a clip that is unreleased and is probably not in their algorithm, it still is very, very much the beginning of Nevea Ikalpa, which is a place in heaven backwards. And I wanted to make sure that it didn't cut this off, because it will say, hey, that is a song, and it will just disconnect everybody and then it goes haywire. So sorry for you guys on Facebook and YouTube. I had to talk over that. This is the blessing of listening on the audio, which is why hundreds of people all around the world listen right now. So that's why it is. And of course, we're up in the 4 numbers now, so it's all good. So there you go. I tied up the loose ends from part 2. Now, shall we begin part 3? Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. Tanya says, Susanna said on Torre's show, Prince asked her to leave and she went to the apartments. See, you never know. Again, I want to make sure that the correct information is out there. That's all there is to it. Yes. And before we get into part 3, let me also clarify this too. A very, very close person of a Purple family. I did not know him personally, but Dimitri Whitman Sr. Passed away, I guess, a little unexpectedly. He is a huge, huge Prince fan, and everybody came out of the woodworks with pictures of Dimitri, and he passed away this past week. And you can actually go to the Facebook page and help them handle some of their expenses. But for any of those folks who knew him. I've met him a couple times, and he was so nice. And I think I'm sure I've seen him in and out of the rooms and whatnot. But it's amazing, the outpouring of love that people have for Dimitri, and it's always sad when somebody departs, and especially in the Prince world. All right. Yeah, kind of bummed out about Dimitri Whitman. Again, I did not know him personally as a friend, and we didn't get a chance to hang out, but I did meet him a couple times, and he just had that vibe about him. It was just like, some people you meet and you automatically know they're like super nice folks. And anyways, welcome one and all. We need to kind of get into this mix. I don't want to kind of start there, but we did. So let's do this, shall we? Let's talk about part 3. Here we are, part 3 of the 4-part Sign of the Times Super Deluxe series, where we are going to be talking about this unbelievable amount of unreleased tracks that just dropped. Now, we already did the main official released album a while back that is available on Patreon, patreon.com/Funkatopia. And it's another massive wave of unreleased tracks here. We're covering 12 tracks here tonight. And the next week, we're closing it up with the final 12 tracks of that last of the 3 vault discs that are in that Super Deluxe collection. Prince even says in the liner notes, he says, I have everything on tape, including all of the informal jams. I record everything I do just like Jimi Hendrix did, and eventually a lot of it will be released. Thank God. And there's a lot of people that are asking, what deluxe edition will be next. And just an FYI, just so we're clear, the next deluxe set is already in the works. According to a very reliable source, it has been confirmed the new deluxe set is already in the works. I cannot say which one it is because I'm just telling you. I shouldn't have even said anything, but it's already moving. It's already underway, which, by the way, I think is ridiculous. I'll just go ahead and say it right now. I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, are we ever satisfied? I mean, we're like insatiable children. I mean, good Lord, observe. Let's just take a moment and absorb the 4 albums worth of new material that you were just given. You were just given 3 CDs packed to the gill with about 4 or 5 albums worth of material. When Prince would release an album, it'd be like 10 or 12 songs on it. So this is the equivalent of 4 or 5 albums that were just dumped on you. And people are already like, wow, that's great. What else? I mean, society now is just insatiable. I mean, and on top of that, music nowadays is just disposable as it is. I mean, it's just, thank you, next. Thank you, next. Anyways, just enjoy this for right now. It's going to be a while before it comes out, but here's something else I can tell you. I do know, or I have heard, again, from another reliable source, that while this deluxe edition is going to be next year, that there is going to be something that could possibly be dropped before the end of the year. Just saying, something else is coming. Something else is coming down the pike. Can't tell you what it is. Something else is coming for the end of the year. Expect it. Just saying. I'm such a tease. But that's why you tune in, right? All right, let's do this, though. Let's get into these 12 tracks. I know that's what you're here for, but I know you also wanted to, get a little bit excited about here, there, and everywhere. I see you guys all in the chat just going nuts right now, so it's fine. I will talk to you guys a little bit while the songs are playing once we break into these songs. This first song's only a couple minutes long anyways, but I'm not going to answer any of the questions. I'm not going to give you any answers, so we'll just hang out. Just being informative, just sharing what I know, but very little. Anyways, the first song we're going to be talking about tonight is Everybody Want What They Don't Got. It was recorded at Sunset Sound in Hollywood on July 13th, 1986. He recorded it on the same day as The Cross, but none of them, or neither of them, The Cross or Everybody Want What They Don't Got, was really created for any specific project. You know, while The Cross did end up on Sign of the Times, the reality of it is that it wasn't originally supposed to be there. It was just kind of like this wavering. It was just like most of his songs where he just writes and writes and writes and writes. And then he kind of gets to a project. He's got a theme and he just decides he's just going to pull stuff. And that's kind of what happened. Now, while we do know that The Cross ended up on Sign of the Times, this track was never considered for any of the projects he was working on, like Dream Factory or Crystal Ball or any of that stuff. It was just one of the songs that he never had a home for. However, in 1994, many of you folks may or may not remember there was a book that came out, a small book. It was only like 36 pages or whatever, but it was a book called Neo Manifesto, Audentes Fortuna Juvat. Yeah, Neo Manifesto, Audentes Fortuna Juvat. I'm absolutely positive that I am butchering that pronunciation. Neo means new, and manifesto is basically a declaration. And the part that says Audentes Fortuna Juvat is Latin, and it means fortune favors the confident. So the book was called, it was a photo book, and it was called Neo Manifesto, Fortune Favors the Confident, but it was in Latin. And it was a 36-page photo book. It was released in the 90s by a photographer named Claude Gassian. He was taking pictures during the Act 2 tour. Anyways, it had the lyrics to this song, Everybody Want What They Don't Got, in it. And I actually had this magazine at one point. I actually had this magazine that I bought it at a record store in Atlanta, off of Beaver Ruin. It was a little small record store at the end of a shopping center, and that was always a place that I went to go get Prince. I didn't even know there were bootlegs. I just thought it was just, lots of music that I hadn't heard before. I wasn't really familiar with the concept of bootlegs. I just knew that, it's music from Prince that I haven't heard. But they also sold magazines, and they had this book that I happened to get a hold of that they had behind a glass case. I bought it, and it was only like $10 or something at the time. But anyways, I have no idea where it went. I've lost it. It's gone. You can get one on eBay for like $150 or something. There may be somebody here who actually still has that Neo Manifesto book, but it's a pretty cool book, and you can find it on eBay. If you look on eBay for Neo Manifesto, you'll see a picture of it. It's really, really cool. And the lyrics actually complement the title, Everybody Want What They Don't Got, which isn't always the case for Prince songs. It's kind of like Led Zeppelin. It's kind of like Black Dog. They don't say Black Dog anywhere in the song. Essentially, what the song means is that it doesn't matter whether or not you've got a lot of money, or if you've got whatever it is that you have. If you have a little, or if you have a lot, you always want what you don't got. And also to be completely aware of that envy and how destructive that it can be. Essentially, the song is based on the 10th commandment of the Bible, thou shalt not covet. And then what I kind of like about the song is that, for a little humor, the song ends with, yeah, I really had my eye on that sprinkler system of yours, and I was figuring, since you don't ever use it. So I always thought that was hilarious. In the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe liner notes, Prince is quoted as saying, "My father preaches all the time, strive to be different. It's okay to be different." And he took that advice and he ran with it. I mean, we were laughing. I think it was last week. I don't know. I don't remember if we were offline or I don't remember if we were offline or if we actually talked on air about this during part 2, about how the story about Kat Glover and how she got a call from Prince's dad, John Nelson, and asked her about that notorious Sign of the Times single album cover where Kat is in that peach suit and she's holding up that black heart over her face. And John, Prince's dad, calls her, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he says, "Kat, is that you on the album cover?" And Kat says, "Yes, sir." And he says, "Good. I just want to make sure that my son hasn't gone off the deep end and lost his damn mind." And so while the whole time he was telling Prince to dare to be different, Prince was really pushing that needle for sure. All kinds of sound effects in here in this song, if you're paying attention, like squealing car brakes and car horns and bells, and basically a bunch of effects that from that Fairlight keyboard and also the Mirage keyboards as well. Again, this song has never been considered for any specific project like Crystal Ball or Dream Factory or Sign of the Times, but he did put some serious work on this song for sure. There are 9 layers of vocals on this song. 9. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments, and it's never been performed live. Here it is, the first track of part 3. Everybody Want What They Don't Got, right here on the Funkatopia radio show and Funked Up. All right. I got to try to get to this mix a little bit better. Let's see what I'm missing here. Bootleggers Are Us, Andre. That's right. It's a good song here. Hey, Chris, say everybody. 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 Everybody want what they don't got. Rodney Fitzgerald's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Rodney Fitzgerald's in the house. Look at all these fine folks we got in the house. Wally, where'd you get those glasses? Safford's in the house. We got the beautiful, loved, and blessed Ashley Tamar in the house. We got the worthy Rodney Fitzgerald in the house. My brother in arms. How you doing, Rodney? I didn't get a chance to talk to you today. Keely, cacophony. Yes, I remember how to pronounce it correctly. I feel like I'm not in the zone tonight. I feel like I'm kind of just, I'll find maybe I need a drink or something. Maybe I just need I wish I had something to take. All right. Let's see if I can get into the mix. Yeah, imports, Rodney. Imports. That's what they are. Everybody from Manny. Oh, gotcha. Everybody. Everybody. Yeah, we're in Atlanta, so it's everybody. Yeah, it does have that welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. There you go, Titus. Oh, we got 8 seconds. This song's already over. Jeez. Here we go. And that was a very, very short 2-minute song. Everybody Want What They Don't Got. The first track of the 12 that we're talking about here. And we have so much. Let me just go ahead and pre-warn you. I've got some stories. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff here tonight. And I hope you guys are ready for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm trying to get into the mix. As I told you, there's so much work in order to put together these album chats. It's so much work. And I just, good Lord. And you just got to get to the other side of it. And I looked up, and of course I took all the text and I highlighted it and I made it big so that, I could just kind of read along and paraphrase and do some stuff. And the next thing I know, I look up and there's 40 pages of content that I've had to write for tonight's album chat. 40 pages, 12 songs. So that's like averages about 3 pages or so per song. But of course, it's a larger text, but it's just crazy. That's just spacing and stuff. But all right, we're gonna take a deep breath. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna make it happen. The next song that is on this list, song number 2, is one of my absolute favorite songs on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe album. I hadn't heard it before the Super Deluxe came out, but I love this friggin' song. I love his screams. I love his energy. I love the feel of this song. I like it. It's one of those songs, the first time you hear it, you go, oh yeah, that is the jam. And then it just gets better from there. There's other songs that you listen to and then they got to grow on you. This one did not have to grow on me at all. This one was great right out of the gate. And that song is Blanche. I don't know what it is about this song. It may be the way that he does this screaming and just the delivery. It's just, you can feel his energy in this song. It's just, I love it. Recorded July 15th, 1986 at Sunset Sound in Hollywood on the same day that he recorded Sign of the Times. And they recorded quite a bit there, actually, because Prince was very, very comfortable in that Sunset Sound studio in Hollywood. I mean, a lot of people always say, oh, well, this is, he was most comfortable at Paisley Park. Of course. But before that, he just was in the zone with all the equipment at Sunset Sound. Matter of fact, during the special on The Current, Wendy Melvoin had a quote that was on there. She said, the sound out of that room, she's referring to Sunset Sound. She said the sound out of that room was unmatched. And quite frankly, Prince learned that board that was in there. It was an API board built by a guy by the name of Domidio. And Prince knew how to use it so well. I would just watch his hand on the faders and watch his hand on dialing in the EQ. There's a famous 3-band dials on an API EQ setting. And I have a seared in memory of his hands dialing in EQs. He just knew how to use it, and he could splice tape. People don't do that anymore. He could cut tape. He ran that room like it was just like he was filing his nails. And frankly, he would file his nails and mix. So you're talking about somebody who was extremely, extremely comfortable behind the board. And when you get like that, when you already know how to make a great song and you already know how to mix and make it sound perfect, when you already have that, and then you have the technical know-how to know how to maneuver and operate the equipment in a way that makes it the most efficient, you're going to come out with some amazing sounding stuff. And this is a perfect example. Everything that was recorded at Sunset Sound was like this. And he was working on that album, putting that album together, Dream Factory, that was supposed to be the Revolution's next album. Technically, and let's just be clear, technically, Sign of the Times is the Revolution's last album, because the Revolution is all over Sign of the Times as an album. Wendy and Lisa are all over that album. So technically it is, even though there's a bunch of songs that they're not on. However, the Dream Factory was going to be their last album. But this song, Blanche, was never considered for that album. It was just, again, another one of those songs that was just going to be a floater. The song is about a girl named Blanche and a dude named Stanley and their desire. And then it doesn't, it introduces them, but then it doesn't talk about them at all. It just talks about him. I guess he becomes this Stanley character, and then it's basically just him begging Blanche to give him her attention. That's all it is. It's just a song with a bunch of pleading. And while it does mention Blanche and Stanley, who I might add are characters from the movie and play A Streetcar Named Desire, it has nothing to do with the movie. Yeah, but you can probably assume that he absolutely got the names from A Streetcar Named Desire. He loved those old movies. He would always quote old movies. He would always pull themes from old movies. That's how he got the theme for If I Was Your Girlfriend. He got that from The Way We Were, the Barbara Streisand movie, where her lover jilts her and she is so upset and she's so hurt, but the person that she runs to is the man who jilted her. And that's, so he loved that. And he wrote a whole theme around it, or a whole song around it, which became If I Was Your Girlfriend, which is one of the most powerful songs on Sign of the Times. I mean, that's not just my opinion. I think everybody feels that way, because nobody would have thought to write a song that way from that perspective. And he was just such a master at that. But here, this song, again, one of my all-time favorite songs on Super Deluxe, is called Blanche. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments, and it's never been performed live. So here it is, the next track on this Part 3 special of the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Vault Mixes. It's Blanche, right here on the Funkatopia Radio Show. Enjoy. I love that. Blanche is amazing. Yes, I know Brian's referring to Golden Girls, But Blanche and Stanley, Blanche and Stanley could come Golden Girls too, but I don't think Golden Girls was on the air at that time. But Blanche and Stanley is from A Streetcar Named Desire. I don't remember when. Anybody want to look up? You guys can go down that rabbit hole. Anybody want to look up when Golden Girls was actually on the air? Oh my gosh, I'm stuck on this chair. Anybody want to look up when that was on? We'll take it. Carrie said, I had a copy of Neo Manifesto, and ironically, it's been missing for years. Maybe it was designed to self-destruct. It could well be. Yes. Yeah, we can see Golden Girls TV show air dates. I'll look it up. It originally aired in 1985 and played until 1992. So you have there. So it didn't. So the first episode of Golden Girls didn't even air until late 1985, and this particular song, Blanche, was recorded like maybe about 8 or 9 months later. But according to Prince Vault, it's assumed that it came from A Streetcar Named Desire. And that's probably where the Golden Girls kind of got the Blanche and Stanley thing also. But yeah, it's absolutely, you never know. Obviously, the only person who can ever tell you is going to be Prince. And, he's not sharing information. So there's that. What else am I missing? Oh no, I lost the appropriate screen. Oh my gosh. All right, there you are. Jill Norman's in the house. What's going on, Jill? Tanya says, I love this show. Are you talking about Golden Girls? Or are you talking about this show, Funkatopia Live? I hope you're talking about this show. Let's see what else. Susan says, Carrie Chadbourne, is Neo Manifesto a book or a CD? It is a book. It's actually a magazine that you can find on eBay. And it's basically a magazine that is a 36-page photo book of done by a photographer that took pictures during Act 2, and they made it into a photo book, and it was photos from the Act 2 tour, plus it was incorporated with a bunch of lyrics from songs, and it kind of shared. So it was kind of, Jill says, you were having a time tonight. I don't know what that means. It must be horrible. Oh, Tanya, thank you, Funkatopia Live. Kemi says her video is freezing from time to time. I hope that's not the case across the board. Obviously, we are capturing the audio, and if anybody has any issues, if anybody's having any issues, then it will be reworked with everything, and we'll put it up on Patreon. We shared part 1 last week, and at some point tonight, I'll go on and I'll log in and I'll get you guys the URL for part 2 if you guys want to listen, and we'll just kind of work it from there. Rodney says, did you get the film strip with Neo? No, I did not, Rodney. Hey, Rodney. I don't have that. 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 I don't have that, Rodney. Rodney. I don't have that. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Thank you. Krista put up a link to Neo Manifesto. If you want to, how much is it, Krista? I don't want to click on the link and risk closing this screen. Okay. How much time do we got here? I do not have a booger hanging from my nose. Do I? No, I don't. I'm sure I don't. I got 32 seconds. 32 seconds. Yeah. Well, I got to talk over the music all the time, or it will cut off. We'll cut off. Anybody remember that movie, Better Off Dead? Remember that movie where they're on a date, and then one guy, and then oh shoot, and that, I was talking, I wasn't paying attention to the time, and that was Blanche, and great time. I love the fact that we can actually get together on Facebook and YouTube, and we can actually talk while the song's playing, and we can kind of chat and go down more rabbit holes. It's always fun to do that. It's just a blast. It's great stuff. Great stuff. The next song is actually a longer song for sure. It's 12 minutes. So we're going to be spending a lot of time chatting and hanging out and whatnot while this next song is playing. And that song is Soul Psychodelicide. And it's a great track. Now, I've actually had Soul Psychodelicide for a very long time. Matter of fact, I've had it since the late 80s, but it's like an hour version. It was like an hour and 5 minutes or somewhere around. It was like almost an hour long. And it seemed like it was just the same thing. Repeatedly, it was the same thing. And an hour's worth of it. And so I loved it, and I listened to it a few times, but then I just kind of just set it aside because it was an hour. It's like you're committing an hour to listen to one song. I don't know. It's the same way with me with Chlorine Bacon Ski, and it's like, okay, it's good. I like it. I can listen to it. It's quirky, but what else is that point? It is what it is. This is Soul Psychodelicide, which clocks in at 12 and a half minutes. And it is the 1986 master. This song from the vault is called, Soul Psychodelicide with an O in it. This one is Soul Psychodelicide, Delicide. So there is like different variations and whatnot. And it was also referred to as Ice Cream. And it was also referred to as Soul Psychodelicide as one word. This one's 2 words. And this particular version that you're about to hear, it was recorded at the band's Washington Avenue rehearsal warehouse just before the Parade tour. And that was an hour long. And that's the one that I have. But this is not the hour-long version of it. Anyways, the one that I have was recorded July 22nd, 1986. And I think it was actually a few days after he recorded Joy and Repetition. Lisa Coleman referred to this song in the liner notes of Super Deluxe, and she said, inside the band, there is a famous song called Ice Cream. She said, when Prince is in a good mood and we were having a good show, he would sometimes just run to the microphone and scream, Ice Cream! And that was cue for us to go into this particular jam thing. And that's never been released or heard or really known until now, obviously. The song actually has 2 different versions according to Prince Vault, but in reality, there's actually a few different versions that are out there. If you go by titles and the way that they've kind of structured it and some edits and whatnot, it's kind of very, very similar to the track Junk Music. Junk Music has actually got an hour, this like a 70-minute song, 74-minute song called Junk Music that we've played before. And then there's like an Eric Leeds edit, and there's like a bunch of different edits. This one has kind of experienced the same exact type of butchery. It's like you take one song and then sometimes they play it a couple times and then some a little bit different versions of it. Then this one's edited and this one's not. But for the sake of argument, there's 2 different versions. One that was recorded in 1986, which is this one, and another one that was recorded in 1989. And the groove of the song is very, very similar to how the band would jam on Love Bazaar during the 1986 show. So it was really, really similar in the feel and movements. And the song is also mentioned, Soul Psychodelicide is also mentioned a couple of times in other songs, such as Joy and Repetition. In Joy and Repetition, there's a line that says, All the poets and the part-time singers always hang inside. Live music from a band plays a song called Soul Psychodelicide. And then he says the song's a year long and had been playing for months when he walked into the place. So it's kind of funny that he knows that this is a really, really long song. Strangely, the 1989, it's kind of almost falls into 1992 because it was like some variants that were there. We're just going to stick with the 1999. The 1989 version of Soul Psychodelicide includes the lyrics, 3 months in, we got 9 to go. Anybody in this house want to stop this show? Hell no. Indicating that Prince saw these songs as connected. So there was 2 different versions, but they were kind of one. I guess maybe he was toying with the idea of possibly merging these songs. We don't know. He jokes about Soul Psychodelicide being 3 years and 4 months long. He repeatedly yells ice cream as the cue for the big horn flourish. So whenever he wanted to like kind of signal the band to do the horns, he would yell ice cream. And then, he also does a bunch of, says a bunch of things during the songs. He says, he calls out to Bobby Z. He says, man, all them cymbals are breathing. Choke that little one. And so in the scheme of Soul Psychodelicide and other songs that were being written in the mix, Joy and Repetition and Soul Psychodelicide lived together for a pretty long while. I mean, both ended up going back into the vault until Graffiti Bridge came into play. And then when Prince was looking at the 2 songs, Prince broke out Joy and Repetition for the soundtrack and also began to kind of tinker with Soul Psychodelicide again. And then he ended up coming up with an alternate mix to the song, which kind of, he kind of was tweaking it a little bit. This is a few years later. So now he kind of feels like he kind of wants to add some things to it, maybe add some background vocals, maybe kind of beef it up a little bit. And that second mix that he was working on, again in 1989, that version actually has Kim Basinger, the actress, and of course his one-time very short-lived girlfriend during the whole Batman scenario. Everybody remembers that. Because that kind of puts the date around October of 1989, around the time that they were recording Scandalous Sex Suite. And I know the second that I bring up Kim Basinger and Prince and the recording studio, everybody immediately gets all these visions in their head. There's plenty of stories there. Plenty of stories. You know how hard it is to get honey out of carpet? Just curious. Anyways, he gave that second version, 1989, to George Clinton. And of course, George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic, he actually tinkered around and fiddled around with it a little. And of course, there's a leaked version of George Clinton doing the song also with a line over it. He just sings that song, what is the booty and how will I know if I'm shaking it? And then, what is the funk and how will I know if I'm faking it? And it was a lyric that would also end up in Del the Funky Homo Sapien song, What is a Booty, 2 years later. And in that version, you also hear lyrics from Elephants and Flowers in there, and as well as the guitar solo from Raven to the Joy Fantastic and the chorus from Graffiti Bridge. So Soul Psychodelicide, especially the second version, had all these Graffiti Bridge elements that were just kind of embedded in it. But what we're about to listen to is actually the original 1986 version that was edited down from that massive 1 hour version. It doesn't have George Clinton on it. It doesn't have Kim Basinger on it. It doesn't have any honey in the carpet. It doesn't have any of that stuff. And of course, it starts out with Prince yelling ice cream, which is, again, something that he would yell out to communicate runs and parts with the bands. There was a time when he would run up to the microphone to go into the jam that would kind of signal the band to go and start playing the song. But he also used ice cream to indicate certain parts and certain runs. And Matt Fink, Dr. Fink, said he had all kinds of hand cues and like that, the ice cream thing. And then one time he had a handkerchief that he would drop and you'd have to watch it. And as soon as it hit the floor, boom, you would hit a big horn punch. And then when he would shake his hand like this, right, he'd go and start singing. And then there was a lick that we'd all have to play. And all of a sudden, he'd time it just so right so that it was at the end of a bar or the bar before. And he was doing this. So you're counting off and the horns would come in the band and everybody sings the part. And that was the hook. And we'd hit that. And that was how all of those licks were. They were just little James Brownie horn licks a la Prince and little turnarounds. But he would learn all of that stuff from the masters that came before him. And of course, as he's referring, James Brown did that all of the time. James Brown always had these signals that he would throw out more or less. And he even had signals to tell you when the band was being penalized. So if somebody in the band hit a bad note, he would flash his hand like 10 times, which means your pay is being docked $50. And he had all these little signals. We're talking about James Brown. So Prince was always fully aware of all those types of little tricks and the ways to communicate on stage with the band to kind of push all these parts and do a little improvisation as they go. And Soul Psychodelicide was a perfect example of that for sure. It is quite the list of recording personnel on this song, Soul Psychodelicide. You've got Prince on vocals, Bobby Z on drums and percussion, Brown Mark on bass guitar and vocals, Wendy Melvoin on guitar and vocals, Lisa Coleman on keyboards and vocals, Dr. Fink on keyboards, Miko Weaver on rhythm guitar, Eric Leeds on saxophone, Atlanta Bliss on trumpet. And then you have some amazing background vocals, including Susanna Melvoin, Jerome Benton, Greg Brooks, and my very, very good friend who's with us here today in the Facebook chat room, Mr. Wally Safford. Wally, where'd you get those sunglasses, Safford? He's also singing on this song as well. So let's go ahead and get to it. I know I gave you a lot of background information and went down some other rabbit holes with this song, but that's kind of what you get with this. Soul Psychodelicide. Get comfortable. Here it is, aka Ice Cream. Soul Psychodelicide on the Funkatopia radio show and Funked Up. Yep. All right. What we got going on? Lots of stuff going on. Oh, Mary said nice shirt, like it. Yep. Paisley Park. That was actually from Paisley Park when they were because they had when they did the album release for Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. I went up to Minneapolis with my good friend Nick Garcia and his wife, and we hung out there. We got to hang out for dinner, and I still got tons of pictures that I still have not put up. I'm gonna fix that. I will fix that at some point in a couple of days. I swear. And let me see what I missed here. There's so much going on. Yeah, Rodney, I don't have that. It's official. What is in the cup? No, it's not actually. It's I'll show you exactly what's in the cup. Actually, I'll show you exactly. It is the cheap Kroger brand of Crystal Light, which is energy grape. Great value energy grape. And actually, where is this? The Walmart version. I think this is maybe the Walmart version. I think it's great because if I need a boost, this works better than coffee. It's light. It doesn't. I don't know. That's what's in the cup. Just to be clear, that's what's in the cup. I want my $2. Yes, Better Off Dead. We were talking about Better Off Dead. Yeah, so I was talking about when I got up really close to the camera and Andre said, "You have a booger in your nose." And it immediately reminded me of Better Off Dead when Cusack's character and his girlfriend are on that date and they're sitting at the picnic table and he itches his nose and they're telling you can hear what's going on in her head and she goes, "He's touching his nose. Does that mean I have something on my nose?" And so she starts playing with her nose. And then he goes, "She's playing with her nose. Do I have something in my nose?" And then both of them are doing this. It's funny. That's the reason why I was thinking about it. Yeah, I like Chlorine Bacon Skin too. I do like the song. Don't get me wrong, but after about 5 minutes of it, it's a very redundant song for sure. It's a very, very redundant song. It's funky. It's funky, but it's very redundant. So there's all that. Carrie said, I wish I could get my iPad and iPhone in sync. That'd be great. I don't know what I mean. Jill Norman says 7 inches today. Ooh-wee. They say 7 inches or more is good. What? Is that good? We'll see. And then, of course, Jill, how does it taste? I love taking all these comments out of order, just to say. I'm just taking them all out of. See, this is what fake news does. I take all these comments out of context. Donna says, I need wine. You know what? I do need wine. I do need wine for sure. I absolutely need wine. Yes, Jill is talking about the snow in Minneapolis. That's what she's talking about. She's not talking about anything vanity or Apollonia-ish. Hey, I'm just putting it up here. You guys are saying it. Anyways, yeah, I saw they had snow. I wanted some people that are up in Minneapolis to send me pictures of Paisley Park with snow. I know there's some that are already online, but I would like, one of the brand new pictures with snow, especially with that symbol out front, with the brand new symbol that they have, how cool that would look with all the snow around it and maybe some snow on the symbol. Cool. That would be pretty awesome. Cammy says, I missed the first part of that comment. 7 inches or more is good. Hubby is crying. Yeah, so it's there. So sorry. Jill was talking about snow, and I just took it somewhere else that was really not great. For those of you who are sending Facebook stars, thank you so much for sending Facebook stars. I really greatly appreciate it. It's awesome. I love Facebook stars. I finally figured out how to look to see exactly monetarily how it works. I can't get any of it. But I like the fact that you guys are doing the Facebook stars. It's just crazy. Dana says, at Funktopia, how did you get so knowledgeable about Prince? Well, you see all these books and stuff and everything behind me, and I'm telling you right now, I am pretty much a sinkhole of knowledge for sure on Prince stuff. But what I can tell you is that there are people here who know way more than me. Way more than me. Rodney Fitzgerald is a perfect example of somebody who knows pretty much everything there is to know, especially about the stuff, the unreleased tracks and all that stuff. And so I'm telling you, there's so many people out there who know so much more. And there's a bunch of people out there who think they know more as well. But yeah, a lot of this, what you're hearing as far as like the album chats is concerned, is not just a lot of stuff. There's a good bit of it that is off the top of my head, but there's also a good bit of it that is a lot of research and preparation for this show. It's not just, it's a lot of preparation. It's going through books. It's going through magazines. It's listening to interviews and just kind of refreshing. Because I've always had a kind of an etch-a-sketch brain for some things. Like when I meet people, I can meet somebody, like I've met a lot of people that are in this room right now, and if I'm standing in front of them, I won't remember their name, just because I've got one of those types of brains that it's just my brain is like, is that important? Probably not. Just let it go. And then you've got other guys like Wally Safford, my good friend Wally, who I'm not even sure if he's even still in the room, who can remember all kinds of details. There'll be somebody will say, Wally, remember that club we went to in 1987 with Prince, and we were hanging out with what's his name? And he'll go, oh yeah, we were hanging out with so and so, and that club was called blah 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 blah, and it was located on this street. Man, I don't remember those friggin' details. Are you kidding me? I don't. I can't even. I have to like sit and like concentrate and try to remember what did I even eat yesterday. It's just I don't know. Yeah. But for me, I love it. It's the topicality of it, right? It's definitely the topicality, because with Prince and the music, for me personally, I know it's the same way for a lot of people here. For music files, we can absolutely positively remember all types of details about Prince and his music and lyrics and content and things that were going on. For me, time-wise, and I've said this before on the show, I don't know if I've ever said it live or not, but for me, I remember things in my life based on what was playing on the radio. Like when Rock Me Amadeus was playing on the radio. If somebody says Rock Me Amadeus was in the top 40, I can tell you exactly where I was at that time. What during that period of time, I can tell you exactly where I was when Purple Rain came out. I can tell you exactly where I was when 1999 came out. I can tell you all those things about where I was based on what was on the radio. That's how much music meant to me in my life. So for me, details like this just come naturally because it's the one thing that when I absorb it, it sticks. There's so many other things that do not stick. And so many other things that do not. My wife will tell you, there's so many other things that do not stick. But music-wise, that's one thing that is just uncontested. I can remember stuff. You can tell me a song that was in the top 40, and I can tell you where I was, what I was doing, my situation. It's just, I know a lot of people are like that. And Jill says, me too. Etch a sketch all the time. It's we don't mean any harm. I mean, I hang out with people all the friggin' time, and people that I've hung out with multiple times, and they'll come up and give me a hug and say, oh, it's so good to see you. And I'm like, me too. You. Yeah, I'm checking. Music's playing. We got 2 minutes to go. It's a long song. Look, we've already been talking for 10 minutes. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, Dana says, yes, radio related to life. Understand. Prince was a big part of my growing up. Yeah, I mean, it's so much easier for me to definitely figure out timelines because it's much easier for me. I can put those pieces together much easier. Yeah. Oh, and Krista says good at faces, not names. Perfect. Same way. Same with me. I see a face and I can remember somebody that I even just briefly met a few years ago, maybe at a party or something. I'll immediately be able to identify them, but I won't remember their name at all. It's horrible at that. It's just, I think I'm an older guy, not like old, but I'm 52, and actually I'll be 52 next month. And I just I don't know what it is. I think it just, I had ADD before they knew what ADD was. They didn't classify ADD or ADHD back in the 70s. It's just, they did. They just said your kid needs to calm down is what needs to happen. They didn't have any medication for it. They just said your kid is crazy is what's happening, and he just needs to chill out is what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. Your kid just needs to chill out is what needs to happen. And now they go, there's something wrong with your kid. I think we need to give him something. But anyway. All right, we got 13 seconds. We're going back on. Love hanging out with you guys. I wish all the songs were this long so we could sit and just chat. All right, here we go. And that was Soul Psychodelicide, long 12-minute version of that. We just sitting here hanging out on a video and chatting about life and music and everything else. You are listening, if you're just joining us, you are listening to part 3 of a 4-part series that we're doing. That's an album chat. Many of you have seen us do album chats. We've done album chats for Sign of the Times, but we decided to do 4 separate album chats, a 4-part album chat to discuss the 3 CDs that came with Super Deluxe that all contain vault tracks. That there were 40 something vault tracks. And so we decided to break this up and do about a dozen tracks per show. And this is part 3. And we just got done covering the 3rd song of 12 that we're going to be talking about. So we got quite a bit more to talk about. So just get comfortable. We're going to be hanging out here for a little bit. Not all of it is going to be all this, but we're having a good time, and I hope you enjoy it as well. If you want to join in on the discussion, you can certainly do that. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Funkatopia, or you can also join us on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Funkatopia. I think I haven't heard anybody successfully say they watch us on Twitch, and also YouTube as well. You can go to YouTube and look for Funkatopia, and we're there also. Which brings us to the next song. Most of you are listening audio, so we want to take care of you, because if you can't see it, and I'm moving my hands and showing you stuff, you can't see it. So I don't want to be unfair to you. So let's continue this, shall we? It is song number 4 in this mix, which is The Ball, recorded by Prince on July 25th, 1986. At his Galpin Boulevard home studio. And it contains that party segue that was recorded during rehearsals at their the Washington Avenue warehouse in Edina, Minnesota. I think that's how you pronounce it. Edina, Edina. And anyways, this song was recorded as the 4th. It was actually, I'm sorry, let me try this again. It was placed as the 4th track on that 2nd disc for Crystal Ball that was going to be. It ended up not being, and they ended up reconfiguring the album and then reconfiguring it again and then reconfiguring it again, and then it just went away. This song actually, well, anyways, we'll talk about this, but it was basically this song, The Ball, and then once The Ball ended, it was going to segue into Joy and Repetition, and this was on the configuration for Crystal Ball. And a funny rabbit hole about Joy and Repetition, when Lisa Coleman saw the title of the song before she heard the song, when she saw the song, she said, and I'm paraphrasing, she was like, I laughed out loud. That is what we do all of the time. We just play the same song and melody over and over and over again. We'll play the same song for hours. And that's kind of how Prince was about playing this music. He was so hardcore. And one of the reasons why they would play those songs for a really long time, so that, you know, that repetition would get your fingers into that motion. You'd get into the practice of how those chords go and how those notes go. And once you do things over and over again, it's kind of your brain remembers it. And it just Mr. Levi Caesar, found out the hard way that Prince did not believe in good luck. He believed in hard work. And when you said good luck to Prince, he didn't like that. Matter of fact, it was a pet peeve of Prince's for you to say good luck. Levi Caesar told a story. He said, I think we were about 2 weeks in and we're all backstage. It was an outside show. It was a little cool that night, so we're all blowing on our hands trying to stay warm. And then Prince walks by and I say, hey, good luck tonight. And he stopped me and he gave me the meanest look I'd ever seen. He said, don't ever say good luck. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't. He said, no, let me explain. What we do isn't about luck. Did you guys have a hard 3 months trying to learn this show? Didn't I put you through the ringer? And I said, you sure did. Oh my God. He said, so it's not about luck. We're ready. We're soldiers. You guys are well trained. Even on a bad night, we're going to have a good show. That's why I rehearsed you like that. So don't ever say it's luck. because if you're going on luck, then the show's going to suck. If you go on the fact that you worked hard, you're always going to have a good show. So there you go. That was his feeling. That was his opinion about people saying good luck. It was a big pet peeve of his. It wasn't about luck. It was about hard work. Anyway, this song, as you're hearing it here, ultimately got reworked. The song The Ball ultimately got reworked and became the opening track for Love Sexy that we all know and love as the song I Know. And although that party scene at the end of the track on Love Sexy ended up staying in place, again, the song used to be The Ball. Basic party lines here in the song with the occasional weird lyric. Like there's one lyric in there. It's like this, unless you want to do it right now, mama, or was it, unless you want to do it right, mama, and get married like a bull and a cow or something like that. It just every now and then you have like the basic party woot woot type of lyrics. And then he throws in these really weird, just twisted lines that make you scratch your head and go, I don't know. What does that mean? The song does also reuse the line all for one, one for all, fun for everyone from the track Romance 1600 from Sheila E.'s album. Also the same line in Spanish, which is uno para todas y todas para uno, which is said by Maite at the beginning of We March. And as far as the people on this song that are playing, it's Prince on all vocals and instruments, Susanna Melvoin on background vocals, Eric Leeds on sax, Atlanta Bliss on trumpet, Wally Safford does some of the party voices back there, Greg Brooks and Jerome Benton also do some of the party voices as well. And there's only been one time that this song has ever been played live, The Ball, which was on May 29th, 1987 at this place called U4 that was in Vienna, Austria. So here it is, The Ball, right here on the Funkatopia radio show. Let's move on to the next song. And then after that, I've got quite a bit of an intro for you for the song after this. But for right now, The Ball on the Funkatopia radio show. All right. Brian says The Ball is funkier than I Know. I think it swings more. Yeah, absolutely. I think The Ball actually has some kind of you can hear, I know though. You can hear, I know there is a heaven. No, there is a hell. You can hear, I mean, this song is The Ball. This song is I Know altogether. But anyways, yeah, so it was, but The Ball actually has this really weird kind of vibe to it. It's just this kind of, it's kind of got this buzzy feel to it. But then, so does I Know. He kept that in place. He absolutely kept that in place. Yeah, so we were talking about before we went in, we were talking about the fact that back in the day that they didn't categorize us as with ADD and ADHD. They just said, yeah, just like what Todd said, he needs an ass whooping. That's right. I still remember to this day when we would be out in the courtyard and there would be we would be up playing or something because I used to live in the projects of Detroit. For a period of my life, I lived in the projects of Detroit. So where I was one of only a few white kids that lived in the projects. And I still could remember distinctly being out in the courtyard playing with all my friends. And then we would see like a friend of ours come out of his house crying. And he'd walk over to the one tree that was in the middle of all these brick buildings. It was this one random tree. And we were like, what you doing? Like, my mama told me I got to go pick a switch. And we're like, oh no. So we were like, so we would walk over to the tree and we would help him pick out a switch. We were like, go with that one. He said, no, mama said if the switch is too small, she's going to make it worse. She's going to come out here and get a bigger one. So it's just, We all have these memories about our childhood where it's just like, oh my God. It's so funny. Um, Jill said, nope, we were considered hyper. Yep. It's just, we were. We're considered hyper. Hey, Joe, what's going on? Joseph's in the house. Carrie said, I work in special education. We're all special in our own way. Absolutely. And some of it's socially accepted and some of it's not. It's just what it is. Yeah, Keely says, I definitely have undiagnosed ADD. Yeah, a lot of people do. Uh, Jill's like, hey, you better pick a good one too. I remember those days. See, my mom didn't go with the switch. She knew that Honda Lacilia. My mom didn't do the switch. She would do the wooden spoon. I don't know if anybody else's parents did the wooden spoon. They would just they make you go out and they would make other kids go out and get the wooden spoon, but my mom would just go over to the kitchen and just grab a wooden spoon. I still remember one day my mom was hitting me with a wooden spoon, and it was the first, I must have been like getting close. I don't know how old I was. I can't remember how old I was. I can't remember how old I was, but I do remember that I realized I can run from her. I don't have to stay here. I'll eventually wear her out. And so I started running from her in the living room, and somehow she caught up to me anyways. And she hit me so hard to also additionally punish me from running from her. And I broke the wooden spoon. It broke. And boy, I got freaking my butt beat because I broke her wooden spoon. I said, I didn't break your wooden spoon. You broke your wooden spoon. Oh my God. Oh, we got 10 seconds. All kinds of rabbit holes tonight. Here we go. And that was the ball. You guys could easily hear Love Sexy playing in the background. Absolutely, you can hear that song in your head when you hear that song. And also that party that kind of goes into Alphabet Street on Love Sexy, I believe it is. So yeah, it's all the pieces and elements are still there. And it's a great, great song. That is The Ball, which brings us to the next song, which is just the title itself is insane. And I'll this is where I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. We're going to get a little bit of a history lesson here, just because we can. I've got your attention. You're going to want to hear this stuff. It's water cooler talk. You're going to learn something, maybe, possibly. It's one of these things where I'm going to impart wisdom and knowledge onto you, and you're going to forever be stuck carrying around this worthless information. And I apologize in advance, but here we go. The song is Adonis and Bathsheba. So first off, this is kind of, we'll just go ahead and just start in down the rabbit hole. Shall we? Let's just do this. To put these two figures together, Adonis and Bathsheba, is just ridiculous right out of the gate, because it's two totally disparate people. You've got Adonis from Greek mythology, whose background story is insane. And then you've got Bathsheba from the Old Testament of the Bible, whose history isn't necessarily insane, but her character in the Bible. All right, let's just start. Let's start with the Adonis story. The Adonis story is cray cray. It's sorry, I know it always kind of, we got some old guy that's using words like cray cray, but this is like really insane. Okay, let's just start here. The goddess Aphrodite cursed a woman named Mira. And some folks called Mira Smyrna, but for the sake of the story, there's a woman named Mira, and she was cursed by the goddess Aphrodite. And the curse that Mira got was that she would be sexually attracted to her own father. That was the curse. What a weird thing to curse somebody with. Your curse is that you're going to be sexually attracted to your father. Who even, if you wanted to impart something horrible on a person, is that where you would go? That's really where you would go? That's where Aphrodite went, and she cursed Mira with that curse. So it works, and Mira is so attracted to her father that she can't help herself. So she decides, it's just weird. She decides to disguise herself as somebody else in order to trick her father into having sex with her. And they do it for, oh my God, I hope Jaden's not listening. And this goes on for 9 days. This goes on for 9 days in complete darkness. So her father, for whatever reason, never catches on. Anyways, eventually her father does catch on and figures out who she is and starts freaking out. And he takes out his sword and he chases Mira around. He's trying to kill her. And somehow she gets away and she ends up fleeing to Arabia. And then when she gets there, she realizes that she's pregnant. And after 9 months, she's begging to the gods for mercy, and they have mercy on her. And they say, yeah, you've been through quite a bit. Here's how we're going to help you. We're going to turn you into a tree. And they turn her into a myrrh tree, which is actually a tree. It's MYRHH, a myrrh tree. And while she is a tree, she gives birth to Adonis. Yes, as a tree. A tree gave birth to Adonis. His mother was a tree. So, if that's not weird enough, it gets weirder. The goddess Aphrodite, that started this whole thing by cursing Mira in the first place, finds the baby that was just delivered by a tree and said, oh, this baby is unprotected. I'm going to give this baby to Persephone, who was the queen of the underworld, and to raise. Said, I want you to raise this baby because obviously the tree can't raise the baby. So here, you raise the baby, queen of the underworld. And then, again, if that's not weird enough, it gets weirder. Sorry about this rabbit hole, but here we are. Adonis, the baby, grows up to be this hunky hunk of a man. And Persephone, the queen of the underworld, starts to get the hots for this child that she's raised. And then, so does Aphrodite, the woman who started all this by cursing Mira. She starts to get the hots for Adonis too. So now this baby has grown up, and Persephone, the queen of the underworld, and the goddess Aphrodite are like obsessed with Adonis. They both want him like super, super bad. And it gets so bad that they start fighting over Adonis, to the point where Zeus, we all know Zeus, has to step in and stop the fighting. And he decides, this is what they decide. Adonis will stay 1/3 of the year with Aphrodite, 1/3 of the year with Persephone, and then the last 1/3 of the year, Adonis can spend it with whoever he wants. Doesn't have to be one of those two. It could be whoever he wants. So he chooses to spend the last third of his year with Aphrodite. What a life for Adonis. So is that story weird enough? Yes, pretty weird. So now that's one side of the story, Adonis and Bathsheba. Now let's talk about Bathsheba. Bathsheba is a little more of a well-known story from the Bible. She is the wife of Uriah, who was a soldier in King David's army and who was out at battle. And one day, David is walking on the rooftop of his palace for whatever reason, and he happens to look down and into the open rooftop of Uriah's house and sees Bathsheba bathing. So he sees her he gets all hot and bothered, and he decides he's going to make her a mixtape of some slow jams, and and they end up hooking up, and she gets pregnant. Uriah comes home from battle, and King David realizes that Bathsheba's pregnant, so he's pressuring Uriah to sleep with his wife so that Uriah will think that the baby that she's carrying is his. But Uriah refuses to sleep with Bathsheba because at the time, I guess there was some sort of wartime law where as long as you're kind of at war, you're not supposed to sleep with your wife because you want to kind of keep all that pent up frustration so that you can battle. Anyways, he doesn't want to break the law, so he refuses to sleep with her. So King David does the next best thing. He sends Uriah out to battle again, but this time he puts Uriah on the front line to make sure that he gets killed, and he does get killed. Problem solved. And then David marries Bathsheba. The baby dies, but she does end up having another child, who we all know is King Solomon, who would succeed King David. Anyways, the fact that Prince decided to put Adonis and Bathsheba together in one song is just freaking twisted. It's just twisted out of the gate to have these two characters who are so vastly different in so many ways. And I mean, there's been plenty of songs written about Adonis, but even poems. There's one by Shakespeare where it's Adonis and Venus. So at least they who is the goddess of love. They at least keep that Greek mythology thing intact. Not with Prince. Prince decides, I'm going to take Adonis and Bathsheba and I'm going to put them together, and they have nothing to do with each other. It's just, other than it being rooted in sex and lust, that's all that it is. It's just that lust component, that sexual component, that is the only identifying line between these two characters. And the song is weird too, the way that it's structured. It actually kind of has a waltz type of feel to it, and it's a short song lyrically as well. It just pairs Adonis and Bathsheba together, and they're dancing together, and they're kind of feeling it, and they want to kind of get together. And so they decide, let's go do it somewhere. And they happen to notice out in the distance an abandoned gazebo. So they run out to the gazebo, and unfortunately there's no bed in the gazebo. So they decide to have sex standing up. And that's the song. We take two crazy individuals, Adonis and Bathsheba, we put them together in a song, and all it is just about the lust of those two, and that's it. And it's a short song too, lyrically. The lyrics of which, I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but the lyrics of which were printed in this magazine called 10,000. There was a magazine called 10,000 that was sold. It was only sold in the NPG stores in Minneapolis and London, and of course in his Glam Slam nightclubs. You can actually find a copy of 10,000 magazine out on eBay. You can actually get them. They're out there. Matter of fact, I have one, and actually, I have it. Let me take that back. I purchased one because I just had to see it. I have to see it, and it's on the way. And once I get it, I'll enjoy it for a little bit, and then I'll give it to one of our Patreon members. That's how it's going to work. Anyways, the magazine was subtitled "The Beautiful Experience," and it was just this oversized fashion magazine. Basically, it's more than a music magazine, and it was launched at the Beautiful Experience party at Paisley Park on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, and it had its own. They had an own room set aside. They had the 10,000 magazine, and it displayed pages from the magazine that was all displayed in the room. And at the same party, Prince's band at the time, who was New Power Generation, they renamed themselves that night to 10,000. They called themselves 10,000, and then they played. So one more little rabbit hole about Adonis, just to kind of close the story up about Adonis. One day, Adonis went on a hunting trip, and he was gored to death by a wild boar. Does that tie that up? It ties it up. But as he was dying, he was being held in Aphrodite's arms, and his blood and her tears mixed and became the anemone flower. So it's a flower called anemone, and the anemone flower was created from the blood of Adonis and the tears of Aphrodite. And every year, Aphrodite would recognize that tragic occurrence by starting what's called the Adonia Festival. And every year on the Adonia Festival, all these women in that area, it was in midsummer, they would all plant those flowers. The Greek women would plant these flowers, and they call it the Gardens of Adonis, which are just these small pots of these really fast growing plants. And they would set them on top of their houses in the hot sun, and the plants would sprout, and then they would really quickly die. And then they would all sit around and cry and mourn the death of Adonis. And then they would tear off their clothes and beat their breast in a public display of grief. That's the Adonia Festival. Anyways, here it is. I'm sorry for the long rabbit holes. I hope you got a little bit of weird history. Again, all these details that you're going to stick in your brain and you're never going to be able to get rid of. My apologies. I can't apologize enough. This song, Adonis and Bathsheba, has never been played live before. You're hearing Prince on all vocals and instruments, Eric Leeds on flugelhorn, flute, and saxophone, and Atlanta Bliss on trumpet. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for all that. I can't apologize enough. Here it is, Adonis and Bathsheba. And if you're just tuning in, I can't apologize enough. You're like, what am I listening to? This is part 3 of a 4-part series for Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, where we're breaking down the songs on the 3 Vault CDs that came with Super Deluxe, where we're talking about previously unreleased tracks that we now get the opportunity to hear. And here's one of them, Adonis and Bathsheba, right here on the Funkatopia radio show. So sorry. Oh my God. I can't even apologize enough. I can't. Anyways, let's see what I missed. Yes. God of Beauty and Desire. Yes. Ew. I don't know which part you're ewing, but there's plenty of ew in those stories. It's just so weird. So funny. Keely said, yes, Bathsheba cheated on her husband with David. Well, okay, never mind. I'm not reading the rest of that, Keely. Todd said, this is not the bedtime story that I wanted to hear. I know. But you had to hear the story. You have to understand the characters of Adonis and Bathsheba. You have to understand what's happening here, who he's writing about, and how Prince's brain was working. It's just... Donna said, we are all in. No one is typing. LOL. It's so funny. It was quite a rabbit hole. Rodney, meanwhile, 3 weeks later. Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, I know. Right, Chris. I don't have that. Yeah, it's good stuff. Let's just say, I don't know if it's good or not. It says every now and then. It says, Susan said 10,000 magazine, never heard of it. Where did you get it from? I actually got it from eBay. I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it, but again, I'm going to get it. I'm going to collect it. I'm going to read it very carefully. I'm going to enjoy it. And then it's getting close to the gift giving season for all Patreon supporters. Well, for the first few Patreon supporter levels, I normally send out gifts. I think I'm going to try to actually go above and beyond and send gifts to all the Patreon supporters this time around. As long as you've been a member for at least like a couple months, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So Hoffler says, I thought you were smoking weed, Chris. Just tuned in 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't blame you. I probably would have thought absolutely somebody was under the influence if I'd have tuned in. I would have listened for sure. I know that if I would have came into that story, I probably would have. It would have been very, very difficult to click off of that. Cami said, 10,000 magazine. It's on eBay. There was one for $50 and one for $225. I can tell you, I didn't pay $225. That's what I can tell you. But yeah, you can try to get it, but I haven't been able to find anything that actually allows you to actually see everything that's on there. I would like to see it, but I haven't. So Rodney, I'm going to scan it because I'll have that. You don't have that. I'll have it. Anyways, hey Lisa, what's going on, Lisa? And yeah, Portia, I don't know which part is interesting. There's a bunch of interesting stuff going on. But yeah, that was really, really twisted story. When I realized when I was trying to do the research and I was trying to figure out, do I need to go down this rabbit hole? Is this really a rabbit hole I really want to go down? I realized that maybe I do. Maybe I do want to go down this rabbit hole. I don't know. It's just so weird. But I bet you paid more than 50 with shipping. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yes, I did. I'm not telling anybody. And I'm not telling anybody. So, Brian says, me too. Yeah. You can get it. It's out there. Sometimes for those collector folks out there, there is all kinds of stuff. As you can see, everybody as you can see from this world, there's plenty of stuff here. Plenty of stuff. I got 30 seconds before I got to be back on. Let me take another sip of my Crystal Light here. I actually wish I was drinking something harder or doing something else, so I'd have an excuse for some of my insanity, but I don't have an excuse. I do not have an excuse for my insanity. I just don't. You guys see me cracking up and being silly all this time, and it's nothing to do. Oh, shit. It's already gone already? There we go. And that was Adonis and Bathsheba. Was it not nearly as interesting as the story behind those two individuals, but musically, it's an amazing, amazing track. All right, here we go. Again, for those of you just tuning in, this is part 3 of 4, where we are talking about the 3 vault CDs that came with Super Deluxe. So many songs on those 3 CDs that we had to break this album chat talking about all those tracks into 4 parts. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. We're almost done. Not yet, really. We're still here in part 3. I don't know we're even halfway done with this part 3 yet. And then we've got close it up next week with part 4 with the last 12 songs. But we're doing 12 songs tonight. That was Adonis and Bathsheba, which brings us to the next song, which a lot of people have already heard before in different versions over the years, Forever in My Life. And this was the early vocal run through. And it's the song that was a mistake in the version that we all know and love on Sign of the Times, where Susan Rogers started the tape. When they were recording, she started the tape in the wrong spot. And then when Prince started singing the song, the previously recorded vocal track that he had already done, the previous session started playing in between the verses that he was singing. Susan freaked out because she realized she had started it in the wrong place, but Prince loved it, and it stayed as we know it on the original release. This is not that. This is what is referred to as the early vocal walkthrough, when it was just an inkling of an idea that he was committing to recording so that he could kind of work through it. And it's obviously still very young in the scheme of music and songs. And the song that we originally knew on Sign of the Times was a big hit in Europe. I mean, a huge hit in Europe. They would, matter of fact, when they played it in concert, they were actually the ones that would start the whole lighter flicking thing, where they would flick their lighters and wave them in the air to the beat of the song. Not the lighter thing was from the 70s. That's been around forever. But matter of fact, if you watch the Sign of the Times movie, when this song plays, when it goes bum 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 bum, you can this is that scene from when they back away and they kind of show you the audience, and the audience is flicking the lighters to the song. Prince loved that, and whenever he played that song when they were recording, he asked them, he said, "Do that what you did last time. That was really, really cool." And the Europeans loved Prince. They loved his whole vibe. They loved the fashion aspect of it. They loved his whole persona, like we all did. But Europe really had like a really, really deeper understanding and just a much more appreciative of music than we are here in the United States. We always treat it as disposable, but Europeans really sit down and really dissect music. Especially, some of the hardcore circles. And it's also one of the reasons why, funk and soul is so big over there, because they actually really spend time analyzing and dissecting songs and chord structures. And we just don't do that in the States. It's like, we like it or we don't. And we like it. Yeah, I'll listen to it. It's good. We're not analyzing stuff. And that's not how Europeans are. Matter of fact, Kat Glover, in the current special that was on, she said Europeans show much love because they do chant the things that Prince asked them to chant, and they sing and they light their lighters a lot more. They're just so much more appreciative. As far as the song is concerned, when Prince was asked, what was your inspiration for the song Forever in My Life? Prince said, Susanna. She knows. Obviously referring to Susanna Melvoin, to whom he was engaged. They said that one of the unusual things about this version of the song is that Prince actually allowed Susan Rogers to stay in the studio where he recorded. That was extremely unusual. He didn't normally do that, which makes it much more personal. And also it ended up being a little bit more of a declaration of his love for Susanna. The released mix of the early vocal run through that we're about to hear was actually done by Nico Bolas specifically for the Super Deluxe edition. And he did his absolute best to kind of replicate the original mix at the time that the song was originally tracked. So there may be a slightly different mix of this track somewhere, but this is pretty much as true to that original one as you're going to get. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments. The first time Forever in My Life, not this version, but the first time it was ever played live was March 21st, 1987 at First Avenue in Minneapolis. And then the last time he did it during a sampler set on March 22nd, 2016 at Musique in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, which is actually part of the Prince Piano and a Microphone tour. So the last time he did it was actually part of just him playing it on piano. And that was kind of the extent of it. So here it is. Forever in My Life, the early vocal run through of the song. We don't have nearly as much of a rabbit hole to go down with that song as we did with Adonis and Bathsheba, which are probably going, thank God, shut up, play some music. Forever in My Life, here you go. Enjoy. That's all I got to say. All right, so I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. I know I'm currently kind of in the background where we got a bunch of different things going on. I know a lot of people are asking about next week. We are going to be talking about we're talking about Shaka again, are we? Con. Yeah. Yeah, we're not going. Yeah. Everybody's talking about Hoffler just brought up, have you listened to the Shaka interview? And her gossip on Prince. Yeah. We heard all that stuff. We talked about a little last week, and we're just kind of we were trying to get her on the show before that Vlad TV thing happened, and we just decided, I mean, not that she responded or accepted or anything, but we kind of got to the point where we're just like, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. So we just kind of left it alone. We're not progressing it anymore. Next week, again, at the beginning of the show, the first hour from 8 to 9 next week, next Tuesday, we will have the amazing Melvin Riley, lead singer of Ready for the World. He will be on the show next week. And we are also in talks with a couple of other individuals as well. One of which should be on the show very shortly as well, Tori Ruffin. Tori Ruffin, who took the place of Jesse Johnson in Morris Day and the Time. He is going to be on the show with us. And we were also in talks with John Legend as well. John Legend was going to be in the show. But unfortunately, John and his wife lost their baby, I guess, a couple weeks ago, which ended up pretty much putting all of those talks on pause. So we'll pick that up. We're trying to figure out, I want to reach back out and I want to, get back into the discussion of getting him on the show and talking about his last release. But we gotta be real. We want to be really respectful of the moment. So we're just kind of just letting time go, and we'll figure it out. But we're not going down. But going back to the chat room, no, we're not going back down the Shaka Khan rabbit hole. We're not doing it. Kayla says, we're talking about, yeah. And what's going on? What's going on? Ann's in the house. And of course, we're still talking about Chuck. Hoffler's going, why is she going there? Weird woman. Yeah. She's just like Keely said, she's a wild card. She's just, I think she likes to say things that are going to get reaction. And she does it. That's what she does. She likes to get reaction. And that's her shtick, is that she wants people to watch the interview. And so she says things that are going to get reactions, sometimes at the cost of relationships. Her relationship with Prince is not something she really cares about right now because he's no longer with us. So I guess she feels like she can just go ahead and burn that bridge. I don't think what she realizes, though, is you're not just burning a relationship with Prince, you're burning a relationship with all the Prince fans, of which there are many, many, many. And if anything, Shaka needs to be respectful about the man who put her back on the charts. She was off the charts. She was no longer part of the discussion. She was no longer part of the discussion anymore. People had moved on from Shaka Khan. So nobody was even talking about her. My back is killing me. This chair is just a nightmare. People had moved on, and Prince made her relevant again. Actually, she says that she made herself relevant with a Prince song. By taking I Feel For You, goes, I realized that Prince wasn't going to release a song, so I took it and remade it and recreated it, and I put rap to it, and blah, 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 and I did this and that and the other. It was like, no, he did release it. If you're going to make up shit, at least get your facts straight. Anyways, I like Shaka as a performer. I don't know her as a person, but she's got an amazing voice and she's an amazing talent. But yeah, it's just kind of a couple of notches down. Couple of notches down for me. Again, if you're going to make up stuff, if you're going to just talk shit, get your facts straight. Get your facts straight before you say it out of your mouth. Anyways. Insane. People are insane. Arlene said, didn't Prince pay for one of her spells in rehab? It could well be. Who knows? He did a lot of that kind of stuff. He always took care of people. If you read Morris's book, he gave Morris money when Prince knew what he was going to spend that money on. Yeah, it is. All right. Here we go. Next song. All right, that was Forever in My Life, the early vocal run through. And now we're officially halfway done with this. This last half is going to go a lot faster than the first half did because we did a little bit of talking and we went down some serious rabbit holes with some of the songs. So we're not, there's some rabbit holes I still have left to go through, but nothing like Adonis and Bathsheba for sure. Nothing like that. So which brings us to, for those of you just joining us, this is part 3 of a 4-part series that we're doing on Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, where we're talking about the unreleased, well, previously unreleased vault tracks, the 3 CDs that came with Super Deluxe. We broke those 3 CDs up into 4 parts, doing about a dozen songs per part. And this is this batch of a dozen songs. And then we got one more after this that we'll do next week. But we are in the middle of part 3, which brings us to the song Crucial. The original version of this song was on Crystal Ball. That was Prince's 20th release, that Crystal Ball, not the original Crystal Ball with the original configuration that I had in the late 90s that I had on cassette that I wore out. And I wish that I still had that. And I may still have it. I have like a couple hundred cassettes and I haven't gone through them all, but I know that there's one of them that's got that original configuration of Crystal Ball it's just bizarre. It just had the whole thing had a whole vibe to it and it was amazing. I'm going to find it. And when I do, I will commit it to digital and I'll find some way to get it to you guys. Because I know it's not a great recording, so nobody will care. Anyways, again, it was Prince's 20th release, that version of Crystal Ball that came out much later, and his 4th as the symbol at the time, even though it does say on it, all instruments and vocals by Prince. And with this version of Crucial that we're about to hear, we are blessed with the amazing and illustrious Claire Fisher arrangement intact, but with mostly new lyrics. And for me, these lyrics kind of seem a little awkward to me. I don't know if anybody else kind of felt that way when you're listening to the lyrics of these new lyrics for Crucial. It's probably because, when we heard the original version for decades, it just becomes weird to hear anything else. You hear him sing in a certain way and then it kind of switches out and it's just, the lyrics don't seem to, they don't seem to have like the right rhythmic flow. It just seems like some of the lyrics are kind of a little bit awkward. That's the way it just seems, just because you're used to hearing a certain flow for this song and it's just not there. I mean, imagine going to a karaoke bar and it's announced what song they're going to sing. And you're like, oh, that's one of my favorite songs. And the person gets up on the mic and you're really familiar with the song. And the person gets up on the microphone and they totally change the lyrics. Like they sing the same melody, but the lyrics are all different. Like everything is different. And that's kind of what this is like. It's like you're listening and you're going, maybe if I hear you sing it, maybe a couple hundred more times and I listen to it over the span of like 3 or 4 decades, maybe I'll appreciate it as much as I do the original. It's just weird to hear anything else. As I said, it makes it a tough listen, but I think you can probably come out on the other side with more listens. I think it's just because you get in that mindset and you hear something so often in the same friggin' way every time. And I just don't think that the lyrics flow well. But again, it's because we've heard it a certain way and it's been polished and polished and repolished and repolished. And anyways, the song was tracked, this one, September 13th, 1986, at the Galpin Boulevard home studio in Chanhassen. It was basically about 4 days after the end of the parade tour that they did in Japan, and the day before recording the Cocoa Boys. And 2 days later, Prince worked more on the song, and of course, then this is the version that we have that he wrote completely new lyrics for. Well, that was when he did that time, that was the one that we all know and love. The one you're about to hear is the original lyrics before he changed them. And Eric Leeds also in November of 1986, he also recorded a saxophone part for it. But he did that at Sunset Sound in Hollywood. and because Prince asked him to do it, and then he sent it back to Prince, and Prince said, where you're playing that sax solo, that's where a guitar solo was supposed to be. And so they took the sax solo out. And then, of course, Eric then recorded a different sax part the next day. So the version that you're hearing here does not include Eric's part at all, either one. But it does have, again, that string section by Claire Fisher. The song was supposed to be, this song, Crucial, was supposed to be on Sign of the Times, but it ended up being replaced by Adore, which is like one of the all-time favorite slow jams of Prince fans around the world. But Crucial does get a name drop in the song You Got the Look, where he says, color you peach and black, color me taken aback, crucial, I think I want you. The song was originally written specifically for the musical that he was planning called The Dawn, which was ultimately abandoned. Actually, the whole story of The Dawn is the Cocoa Boys. That song, the Cocoa Boys, that story that he tells, that was the whole entire premise of The Dawn, which ended up, as rival bands, and it ended up becoming, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about that in a second. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments and Claire Fisher on the orchestral arrangements. The track is not believed to have been performed live by Prince, except that there was a short, he took some lyrics from it and he mixed it in with Adore. That's the only time that this ever saw the light of day. And that was on October 25th, 2003 in Sydney, Australia at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. Prince said, a good ballad should always put you in the mood for making love. So let's see if it does that for you. Here it is. Crucial. The alternate lyrics right here on the Funkatopia radio show and Funked Up. All right. All right. Let's see what we got here. Hoffer said, finally got the Sign of the Times Deluxe set delivered in Australia. Man, that took forever. Yeah, I'm glad you finally got it. I'm glad you actually finally got it. As you can see, it's right back here. I got it sitting up on display here in the back. That's actually the back cover. But yeah, congrats, man. It's awesome. It wasn't really a rabbit hole. We kind of doing a little bit of rabbit holes, but the Adonis and Bathsheba rabbit hole, that was crazy. That will be one that's played forever. Let's see. Brian called it. Yeah, you called it. There you go. Yep. Maybe you got to be from a different world. Oh, yeah. Rodney's right. Crucial title is also in Adore as well. Yeah, so he always did that. He liked to embed song titles in other songs that are on other songs that happen to be on certain projects and albums. So it's worked out. It's worked out. So we got some, people still fighting sickness and whatnot. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I did manage to go back out to for those who don't remember, my parents both got coronavirus, and Pops is out of the hospital. He's back at the house now. So that's good. So they're both all good. They're both, Mom's doing great. She's back on track. Pops is, he's still recovering. He's walking around. He's actually mobile, but he looks like he's aged like 15 years. He's shuffling and just working to get all his energy back and his mobility back. And it's just, oh boy, it's man. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how all this stuff kind of happens and it just kind of takes them out. It's just, it's a mess. It's a mess. Absolutely. But they're doing good. And I mowed their lawn again. I just mowed their lawn like a week and a half ago, and all of it grew back. And they've got like 2 acres of property, and it's not like just like a laid out 2 acres of property. It's like 2 acres of property that's like spread out all over the place. It's got trees and stuff you got to go around, but it's nuts. Anyways, Mary, yeah, they are actually in a town that's northeast of Atlanta. It's a little town called Woodstock, same as the Woodstock in New York, spelled the exact same way. It's called Woodstock, Georgia, but it's up and. They are in their 60s, Hoffler. They're in their 60s. No, I'm sorry, they're not. They're in their 70s. They're in their 70s. Because I know that my mother is exactly 20 years older than I am. Kind of gives you a little bit of background. So she's 72, and then Pop's around the same. So it is what it is. And yes, we had a riding lawnmower. It would have been a lot easier to get around the trees with a manual mower. But yeah, so I just put in the Google earbuds. Yes, I actually got the Google earbuds. I don't know if anybody's earbud fanatic or whatever, but this is the Google earbuds. And they're okay. They're good. They don't maintain Bluetooth connection really well, but it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, so Rodney said I should do a rabbit hole on the tapestry backdrop for the Sign of the Times. I need to get that. There's some pieces I know, but there's a bunch of pieces that I don't know. I'm going to have to get all of those. I'm going to have to get all of those details and do that one time. Maybe I'll plan that for the final part 4 of this series. We also got to see how long this Ready for the World interview goes next week, which will be at 8:00. Melvin Riley, lead singer for Ready for the World, is going to be on the show. He's got some brand new music coming out. About time. And we're going to be talking about all Ready for the World stuff, but we're going to be talking with Melvin Riley. And, I don't just kick people off the show. I like having people on, but we are going to be doing part 4. So hopefully it won't go too long because I'm going to do part 4 of this show no matter what. But we may actually do it. Cassandra says a few miles away in Cherokee County. Is it north? No, it's northeast because it's up 75 and then out 575. And it's like, it's over there on the right-hand side of the map. So, well, it's on the right-hand side of the map for sure, but it's up there. Yeah, I'll find out if O'Sheila is about. I don't know. We'll find out. Hold on. Song's ending. Next song. And that was Crucial, the alternate lyric version of Crucial. Just a little bit different than what we've come to know and love for sure. But, a lot of people love that stuff. A lot of people love it when they mix it up and they kind of just get everything moving. It's good stuff. It's good stuff for sure, which brings us to the next song, which is the Cocoa Boys. And, these bootlegs have been around for a long time. Many people have had a lot of these songs and a lot of this music for a good period of time. And we've always had this version that was Cocoa Boys, C-O-C-O Boys. And then Sign of the Times Super Deluxe came out, and they put Cocoa Boys, like they spelled it like hot cocoa, C-O-C-O-A. And so I was like, which one's right? Because I think this one's Cocoa, C-O-C-O, has been around for forever. And there was an assumption that, well, let's just do it like this. I wanted to get the full story on this. So I went to the source. Well, not the source, but I went to pretty much the closest thing to the source. And I reached out to my good friend, Dwayne Tudall, who is the author of Prince of the Purple Rain era studio sets since 1983 and 1984, and who is now one of the senior archivists at Paisley Park. And good friend of mine, we talk all the time. We always hang out, and I love Dwayne to death. Again, good friend. Texted him and I said, can you give me the story on the Cocoa Boys? Which one's right? C-O-C-O or is it Coco? C-O-C-O-A. Is that wrong? Is it right? And Dwayne said Coco, C-O-C-O-A, was actually what was written on the original tape and also in his handwritten lyrics. So it was spelled that way, C-O-C-O-A. And he said, I made sure that the lyrics were in the Sign of the Times set so that people could see it. So if you actually look into the actual lyrics, the handwritten lyrics, you could actually see that he did write C-O-C-O-A. But for some reason, I still wanted to know what was written on the outside of the vault things or whatever. But he said it apparently is the nickname for the Cocoa Brothers, C-O-C-O, referring to Joey and Frankie Coco, and that they were nicknamed the Cocoa Boys, and it's the name of the band and the last name of the band name. Song name spelled differently, but a little bit cool revelation. So many people know that Prince used that pseudonym Joey Coco when he would kind of write music for other people. He would it was either Jamie Starr or Joey Coco. There's at least a half a dozen or more songs that he wrote under the pseudonym Joey Coco, including 101 that he did for Sheena Easton, Baby Go-Go, Cool Love, Neon Telephone, Telepathy, which we'll be talking about in just a little bit. We're not playing it tonight, but Telepathy is one of the songs that we'll talk. You're My Man, Jill Jones song My Man, Violet Blue. They're all listed as Prince compositions on the album, but they are registered at the Library of Congress to Joey Coco for whatever reason. And of course, when the song starts, you actually hear like a bunch of just a bunch of weird noises and stuff. But it's this patch that comes from it's a patch that comes from some machine. I don't know. It's a synthesizer, but the patch is called Sequential Circuits Prophet versus Film Music, patch 69. And he liked whatever was going on. That all that stuff that you hear at the beginning of the song that we're about to play, you also hear that same exact patch in You Got the Look, and you'll also hear that same exact patch in the Madhouse song 9. Anyways, this song, The Cocoa Boys, was recorded in 1986 in Paris at a studio called Le Zenith. And he just recorded the music to it, but he didn't even record lyrics for until a month later. Anyway, the lyrics are a story about a band called the Cocoa Boys, and that is a storyline for the play that he was writing called The Dawn, which again is another one of those projects that he started, he worked on, he kind of did a little bit of this, that, and the other. It ended up ultimately becoming the concept behind Graffiti Bridge, which is just, a battle of the bands type of story. So it was the same exact concept as The Dawn, but he kind of kept the whole battle of the bands theme going in. And it's a band called the Cocoa Boys, and Prince's band in the story is named Sandra D. Maybe he thought that was a cool band name. I don't know. Prince's band in the story is called Sandra D, and the rival band is called the Cocoa Boys. In the story, Prince's band is deemed too freaky, and the Cocoa Boys win the battle instead of Prince's band, Sandra D. So the next day, Prince goes to school and kicks one of the band members' butt, a guy named Frankie. And it's the same Frankie that you also hear getting mentioned in all of that chatter during Le Grind and Love Sexy and Two Nigs United for West Compton. Serve it up, Frankie. So it's the same Frankie. This Frankie is seen, kind of comes in and out of a lot of different songs and whatnot. But obviously that storyline does not transfer over to Graffiti Bridge, because in Graffiti Bridge, Prince's band wins yet again. And the Cocoa Boys don't win, but Prince's band wins. Almost wins. But then, of course, you remember the line from Morris from Morris Day in the movie where he says, "We got beaten with a ballad again," or something like that. I can't remember what the exact words were. Anyways, the overdubs, including the background vocals on this song, the horns, and also all the audiences and stuff that you're hearing are thought to be recordings that were actually done in Paris at that La Zenith show from 1986. The same exact place that they recorded "It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night," and that was kind of added to later session. The song, again, we're talking about Cocoa Boys, also has lines and lyrically that got used in other songs. For instance, "All the Boys and All the Girls, You Are the New Kings of the World," which was used in Positivity. And also that chat, "We Are Beautiful, It's Going to Be a Beautiful Night," that was obviously used in "It's Going to Be a Beautiful Night." And again, it's just a song about some fictional brothers, Joey and Frankie Coco, that are in a band. And that's about it. This song has never been played live. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments. Eric leads on sax, Atlanta Bliss on trumpet, and then there's Susanna Melvoin on background vocals. Here it is, the Cocoa Boys, COCOA, by the way. You're listening to Funkatopia Live. I'll try that again. You're listening to Funkatopia Live and the Funked Up app. And this is part 3 of a 4-part series of Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. We're talking about all of these tracks on these 3 vault CDs that came with this beautiful Super Deluxe set. And yes, there is another Super Deluxe coming. I'm not telling you what the album is, but we know it's in the works. We know it's happening. God bless you guys. You are just insatiable, truly. Anyways, here it is. The Cocoa Boys right here on Funkatopia. Whatever. Let's just listen to the song. Oh, yes, that's right. Frankie had a brother named Joel. Ronnie said, "I love the original Cocoa Boys early version." Yeah, I'm too. It's amazing. Chester said, I'm just sorry, I'm reading off all the text. "I was wondering, would you ever do a show with songs created by songwriters using Prince samples, of course, with permission?" Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's not a whole, I mean, well, actually, there is quite a bit. Some weird ones I think were even done with permission. Like, what's that one, the rap song that came out, the Biker Shuffle, that reused Erotic City or something like that? I don't even think they even got permission to do that. I think they just did it. But anyways, it's so much, there's so much out there. But yeah, but I would think about doing that for sure. And maybe a little bit of a cross-pollination of songs that Prince took from other people and redid as well. Not necessarily like One of Us or any of those types of things, but like what's the girl, Mila, the rapper from Europe, Mila, whatever her name is, where he took and it's just weird. There's actually horns here. On the Rodney will tell you the original version of this. It's Prince doing the horns. He's going bip, 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 bip. He's actually doing that part with his mouth as opposed to the horns doing it, which is actually pretty cool. And that's actually in the mix. Yes, Chester said, "Whatever happened to the 700 samples series Prince sold?" It actually. I remember the video. I can't remember what it was. It was a VHS tape. It was a video for one of the shows. And at the end of the VHS tape, it's purchased the series, the sampler series from Prince. And it was like something insane. It was like $1,000 or something like that. But if you had $1,000 to burn, you could get all these samples that were created by Prince, that you could create your own music with his permission because you purchased the rights to those samples. So it's just unbelievable. Unreal. Craziness. Crazy. Brian, I don't have that. That's going to be our new thing. That's our hint. That's our hint. If we say that, Brian, I don't have that. Or Rodney, I don't have that. It means I'd like to have that. Abel says, Kat stated in a podcast when she says, serve it up, Frankie. She is giving a shout out to Frankie, that DJ at the club she danced at. Yeah, that's not what I can't remember which book it was. It was on Prince Vault and something else too. Frankie Knuckles. Bone Thugs and Harmony, When Thugs Cry. Yeah, Brian says there's quite a few hip hop songs that sample Prince. Absolutely, there's so many out there. That's actually a pretty good idea to kind of do that. We've got some album chats that are coming in the mix. I know that we want to cover Maserati's album, but I talked to Brown Mark, and Mark said that they're in the process of. He actually texted me that night. Still probably have the text on my phone, and Mark said. Mark said that he's remastering. He's remastering the Maserati album, and on top of that, his first two solo albums, which were really good, by the way, which are really, really good. And so I think what he wants to do is kind of marry the two, so we can kind of do a little bit of a cross promotion of that remastering of the album. You've seen me talk to Brown Mark many times. Brown Mark's great. Good friends of Funkatopia. Never really hung out like a lot personally. We've hung out a few times, but never like, hey, let's sit down, eat dinner, tell secrets. But yeah, it'd be fun. It's lots of stuff out there for sure. Lots of stuff. Hoffer says, Kat said she is angry at all the books about Prince. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it alone. There's so many. I've got so many punchlines that are running in my head right now. But I'm not going to do that. I got so many punchlines for that. I just can't. I can't. I want to have her on the show at one point. So I just can't. I'm going to leave it alone. Thank you, Carla. You're going to send me the remix experience. Awesome. I look forward to it. 19 seconds. We got to go. Oh, jeez. Happening too quick. I don't know how these shows are going as long as they're going. I guess most of it's rabbit holes, but geez. And that was the Cocoa Boys, the 2020 remaster from Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, which brings us to, we only got 4 more songs here, and then we're calling it a night for this particular part. And this one is a song that's pretty freaking awesome, actually. I actually like this. It's actually good. It's still growing on me, but every time I hear it, it gets a little bit better, and I get a little bit more acclimated to it. It's just kind of like jumping in a cold pool. It's like, at first, and then it gets better. When the Dawn of the Morning Comes. That's the next song. Recorded September 29th, 1986, again at Prince's Galpin Boulevard home studio in Chanhassen. Most of everything that you're hearing on these unreleased tracks was either recorded at Sunset Sound in California, which Prince was very, very comfortable with, because Paisley Park wasn't yet. It hadn't started. He hadn't started doing things that were committed. Now, keep in mind, Sign of the Times, the movie itself, was actually partially recorded in the Paisley Park studios, not just in the concert thing, which I was just found just insanely impressive, to be totally honest, because Sheila E. had said that drum solo that she does was done at Paisley Park, but they intertwined it so well with what was recorded at the live concert in Paris, and then what they recorded at Paisley Park, that there's no way that you can tell it's in 2 different locations. It's so impossible to tell. I'm sure there's like some little minute detail that you can go, oh, that wasn't hanging there in the Paris show. But man, they did such a magical job at editing that together and making it look like one consistent piece. But anyways, most of what you're hearing on these unreleased tracks is either recorded at the Galpin Boulevard home studio or it's recorded somewhere like Sunset Sound. And I think there's a few instances of weird things that, when he happened to be overseas and he had to get it out and he just went with whatever studio he could. But this one, When the Dawn of the Morning Comes, is Prince in the Galpin Boulevard home studio in Chanhassen. Again, another song that was written along with Crucial and the Cocoa Boys and planned for that musical called The Dawn. And outside of that, it was never considered for anything else that Prince was working on, like Dream Factory or Crystal Ball or any of that stuff. And, surprisingly, if you listen closely to this song, there was another song, unreleased song by Prince's called The Line. It's a song around, almost around the same time, about December 1987. And it sounds very, very similar in pace and feel. And just the whole thing just sounds a lot like The Line. The song is based on a gospel type jam that he actually wrote on piano. And he came up with the song on piano and he quickly recorded it on a boombox. He was working on the debut Madhouse album and he happened to hit on this little riff or melody on piano and he quickly recorded it on a boombox. Old school folks remember boomboxes. You guys remember those, right? But then he was just kind of in this mode of just creating music at this manic pace. And then he took that song, he wanted to kind of create more around it. And then he started putting various pieces of this song together and he kind of changed some stuff around. He added, some really hard hitting drums. And of course, once you do that, you kind of take that gospel vibe out of the mix and it kind of changes it into a whole different song. But then he kind of added more stuff. He added bass and he added guitar and not one, not two, but three different types of synthesizers on this. He uses an Oberheim OB8. He uses the Mirage synthesizer and, of course, the infamous Fairlight synthesizer, that one as well. Then he turns around and he adds 6 layers of vocals on top of each other to kind of make it sound like a choir. And so what you're hearing here is a recording of that song from that one day that he just threw it all together and it just kind of poured out of him. And this is the recording of that day when it just, bam, it was there. It was Saturday. It wasn't there. Sunday, it was a thing. And the only difference between that recording and this is that he edited out 1 minute of it. I don't know for what reason, maybe to possibly remove a part he didn't feel flowed right or whatever it was, or it just wasn't matching the vision for his song. It's never believed to have been performed live. Everything is Prince here. It is When the Dawn of the Morning Comes, right here on the Funkatopia radio show from Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. When the Dawn of the Morning Comes. Check it out. All right. Am I missing conversations here? Let me see. Oh, Hovler says, can't believe Sheila E.'s outfit on Sign of the Times, hot and out there. I wonder if Prince wanted it. Well, there was actually a story. Rodney, you probably remember this from 2 celebrations ago when Sheila E. was on, and Sheila E. said that Prince did not know that she was going to wear that, and that she was wearing a coat or something and had it all covered up. And so Prince had no idea what she was wearing. And then what ended up happening is that right before they went on stage, she took off the jacket and threw it down. And she said Prince's jaw just dropped. And then she got, she walked out on the stage and Prince was just like, bam. And I can't remember exactly what she said during the celebration, but she said something to the effect of, it's like, and I got laid that night or something. And then she took and did a mic drop and started to walk off the stage. And she came back, but it was kind of like a moment. It was kind of like one of the mic drop moments. But yeah, so that outfit was actually a surprise that Sheila E. had, which I actually found a little bit unusual because Prince was normally very much a stickler for what's going on the stage. What are you wearing? What are you playing? What colors are your, what's hanging behind you? What color are your drums? What color is this? So he was normally a stickler for a bunch of that different stuff, but for some reason, I guess he gave Sheila E. a little bit more of leeway on that one, but it's fun. Brian, playing drums with no bra. I can't imagine you would want to wear one if you're a female drummer playing the way that she was playing. I can't imagine because you're talking about back in the 80s when bras were not comfortable at all. They never, ever were. They probably still aren't. They make them a lot better now, I hear. I understand. I'm telling you, I could probably wear one, but I don't. Know what that means. But I can't imagine wires and all that sweating and moving, and I can't imagine her doing anything any other way other than braless. It's got to be. Right, Brian. That's the only way. Correct. Only Sheila E. April fills out of the story. Sheila and Prince had a bet on who would be dressed the best on stage for Sign of the Times. She designed the cat suit with wardrobe. He didn't see it until she walked on stage. She won the $1,000 bet and got her some that night. Yeah, we were there. That was funny. Cammy said, "I'm pretty sure Bobby Z played without his bra." I don't know. He may have. I don't know. Yes, he did say something like, "I got some" or something like that. We'll have to watch the recording, but we obviously don't have the recording of that, but it is there. Yeah, so they still got that gospel feel, those chord progression, that gospel chord progression. It's still got that going on for sure. Let's see. Let's see. We got man boobs do exist. Yes, they do. But when a man takes it to the next level and starts brawling it out, and when you start needing support, you probably should just cut back on the carbs at that point. I think I need to cut back on the carbs. I think I'm probably an A cup. I think I'm probably an A cup. I don't know. Next time I'm in Victoria's Secret, I'll ask him. I want somebody to follow me into Victoria's Secret with a camera and let's do a skit and just see if I can get them to give me a bra size. That would be a good YouTube video. I think somebody would watch it. I'll walk into Victoria's Secret and request that they measure me and tell me what size bra I would wear. I'm going to do it. Maybe one of you guys will beat me to it, but I'm going to do it. Next time I'm at the mall, I'm doing it. I'm having my daughter record me. We'll do it. I got a minute 13. Everybody still feeling good? You guys are still in for I'm not drinking anything tonight. Crystal Light. I was just talking about that. I was talking about I'm not even doing the regular Crystal Light. I'm doing the Walmart version of Crystal Light, which is great value or something. What's good about the Walmart version of Crystal Light? First off, it's a lot less expensive than Crystal Light because you can get it for like $1.80 or something for the whole box. It tastes just like Crystal Light, and they have a bunch more different flavors than Crystal Light. But Crystal Light Grape is the best. I love Pink Lemonade Crystal Light, but it doesn't have caffeine. The Peach Mango Crystal Light is really, really good too. It also has caffeine. I like the ones with they don't carry my size. We'll see. Really, Lisa? Challenge accepted. I'm going to find out. And that was When the Dawn of the Morning Comes, which is you can absolutely hear those gospel chord progressions. You can absolutely positively can hear it. And you can see people dancing in the aisles. It's it's very much a gospel jam for sure. Only got a few songs left to go. I hope you guys are still in for the haul. Couple great ones. Obviously, this one's been around for a long time as well, which is Witness for the Prosecution, the second version of the song, Witness for the Prosecution. Again, this is the second version of the song. We covered the first one in part 1 of this 4-part series that you're listening to. Part 4 of this series will be done next week. And then the following week after that, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a Tuesday off. I know you guys hate to hear it, but I just need to take a break. I was going to take a break tonight, but I said, I got to get through this 4-part series. So that means I got to do this. And then I got to do the 4-part series, the 4th part next week, along with the interview with Melvin Riley from Ready for the World. And then I'm going to take a break. But for right now, that's where we are. Which brings us to Witness for the Prosecution. Again, initially recorded on March 14th, 1986, Prince's Galpin Boulevard home studio in Chanhassen. Also had some other pieces that were done by Wendy and Lisa and Susanna Melvoin and Eric Leeds. That was done like a month later in April. And that was when he was actually returning to France to continue working on Under the Cherry Moon. And this reworking of Witness for the Prosecution took place in October of 1986. And originally what he wanted to do is he wanted to take this song and he wanted to give it to Deborah Allen, the country star Deborah Allen. I think there's also the actress Debbie Allen. We're not talking about her. This is the country star Deborah Allen. And the next day, I guess he wanted to record. He wanted Deborah to do this song, but then he also wanted to. He also recorded the song "Telepathy," and that's the only song that she actually released was that song "Telepathy." She did not choose to do "Witness for the Prosecution" for whatever reason that was. The original version of this song, I guess the one that we had heard before, was recorded earlier in the year, as I mentioned, in March of 1986. And, this one that we're about to hear is just kind of a little bit weird. There's these Jamaican-like, what do they call those? Pan drums, the drums with the different tones they're called pan drums. Is that what they're called? But you can hear them in the background. Boom, 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 boom. And it's got the guitar fuzzed out. It's just a totally different version for sure. Just very, very different from the original. The original is the most popular. And then there's another version on top of this that have vocals with Wendy and Lisa layered over. And then, of course, you got Eric Leeds and Atlanta Bliss. And this one even features more messages to Susanna Melvoin, lovelorn dog that he was. It starts, this is a story of two childhood sweethearts, inseparable till one broke the other one's heart. She wants to leave him, but I would die first. Baby, don't leave me. I didn't mean to hurt you. By heaven, I swear. Of course, he screams that part. Anyways, on this version 2, it's Prince, Eric Leeds, and Atlanta Bliss. Never believed to have been performed live. Here it is, version 2 of Witness for the Prosecution on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe album chat, part 3 of 4. Here you go. All right. Going back to StreamYard. Obviously says, take a break. It's all good. Take care of your parents. Well, yeah, I've already pretty much done that. I went and when I went to go mow their lawn, they had a bunch of chores for me too. It wasn't just that. I ended up having to I mowed the lawn, and then I had to like change batteries and cameras and set up a Ring doorbell system, and it was just it was ridiculous. We're just ridiculous. What's I gonna say? I can't remember what I was gonna say. But Facebook stars, thank you guys so much for the Facebook stars. I'm seeing the steel drums. Thank you, Brian. I'm gonna call them pan drums. Steel drums all through this song. But Facebook stars, thank you guys so much for those who are donating Facebook stars. It's awesome. I greatly appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to actually sit and talk. When I used to originally do these album chats, you would only hear the audio version. And so while the songs are playing, I'm just it's kind of just sitting here, just going through the notes and maybe going and yelling at my dog or who knows what I'm doing. But now I'm just continually talking the whole time. So yeah, it'll be good to take a break, but I'm still got 2 more weeks before I take a break. But you hear those pan drums, right? Or steel drums. You can hear it. It's all there. You can hear it. It's all there. I better be careful because God forbid, it's just yeah, I mean, if you're watching on Facebook, facebook.com/Funkatopia, I think right under where it is, it says send stars or something like that. I don't know what exactly it says, but you can send stars and then you click on it and you send stars. And it has a monetary equivalent. I don't know what I mean. I found that area, but I have no idea how to withdraw it or anything. So it's just there. But thank you guys so much for continuing to donate stars. That is so awesome. I can't even begin to thank you enough for all the Facebook stars. Appreciate it. Arlene said, those chats were good, but these are better. More rabbit holes. Yes, plenty of rabbit holes. Of course, when I do edit these, I take these videos exist. Obviously, these videos exist on Facebook, and they say on there, assuming they're not taken down. Of course, I've been trying to download these videos and keep them for posterity and just make sure that I have them. But for the most part, and I think I may actually have the one that Facebook killed, which was part 1, because we're listening to Power Fantastic. That's what closed part 1. So I still have that video. But when I edit them, I only do the audio just because it's cleaner. There's not a bunch of yammering. It's kind of difficult to follow along if you're not able to see the chat functionality. And on the video, you're not seeing the downloadable video that you get with the system that we're using. You do not get the chat area. So there's a lot of things that are going on. So unless I highlight what somebody says or pull it up on the screen, you guys have no idea what I'm talking about or even responding to. So yeah, it was great. Again, thank you guys so much. That's what I see when you guys do Facebook stars. I see nothing. But I assume it's either a Facebook star or it's one of those gifts, like a funky gift, like with monkeys and hearts and stuff. I don't know. Terry says, I love the rabbit holes. I need to hear tonight. Well, tonight, the rabbit holes, Susie, thank you so much. Cami, thank you so much. Brian says you like this version the most. Yeah, a lot of people do. I don't know why. It's just, there's nothing fun or anything going on. You know what I could do? What I was thinking about doing is figuring out a way to kind of put if I could put a green screen behind me, then I could actually talk about things and then put up little graphics right here and stuff like it's a newscast or whatever. I just think that's too much. It's already enough work to do this enough, and it's just crazy. But all right, here we go. Go back. And that was Witness for the Prosecution version 2 from Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. Only 2 songs to go, and then we're done with this part. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week, we'll be doing part 4. So I hope you will tune in for that. And of course, this second to last song that we're going to be covering is It Bees Like That Sometimes, recorded by Prince alone by his lonesome on October 11th, 1986. At Sunset Sound in Hollywood, California, on the same day as the song Violet Blue, which is like, if you ever heard Violet Blue, it's the same exact beat and tempo. It's pretty much the same song, but it isn't the same song. But it almost sounds, the 2 songs could be married up. One day I'm going to play you Violet Blue, and I'll sneak it in somewhere, somehow. Anyways, but it's also a very auspicious day, not in a good way. Is auspicious have a negative connotation? Could it have a negative connotation? The reason why I'm saying auspicious is because somebody look up define auspicious and tell me if I'm using that correctly, because this is also a few days after he gave notice to the band members that he would be disbanding the Revolution. So I don't know if that, so he's telling the band members the Revolution is no more. I'm cutting you guys loose. You're all fired. So I don't know if that necessarily qualifies as being auspicious or not. Don't know. But I used that word auspicious, so it's now officially auspicious. I was talking about this song because as I was doing research, there's not a whole bunch of information on this song. So I reached out to Dwayne Tudall last night, and I said, I want to talk about the source of the title of this song, It Bees Like That Sometimes. And during my research, if you go to books.google.com, you can actually search all the books that Google has in its database. And the phrase, it bees like that sometimes, is from Maya Angelou's book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And basically she says, in the book, the quote is, at school, in a given situation, we might respond with, that's not unusual. But in the street, given the same situation, we might say, it bees like that sometimes. So she's talking about the difference about how you present yourself in an academic environment as opposed to how you would present yourself when you're standing on a street corner hanging out with your friends. And that's kind of where that phrase comes from. It bees like that sometimes. So I reached out to Dwayne and I said, did you know that this title comes from Maya Angelou's book? And he said, no, I didn't. And he thought that it was from Nina Simone's song from 1969. Is it 1969 or 1967? It was 1967. And she's got a song called It Bees That Way Sometimes. So it's kind of similar. It's Prince's is it bees like that sometimes, and Nina Simone's is it bees that way sometimes. Now, obviously, both Nina Simone and Maya are obvious sources of inspiration for Prince. He could have easily pulled from either of those sources. Neither one of us know if, I don't know if I'm right. He doesn't know if he's right. We're both guessing. So we just kind of figured we just settle in the middle. There's no winners here. Both of them are really good guesses. Mine's based on an actual lyric and his is based on an actual song title. But only one of us is a senior archivist at Paisley Park. And that's probably the most likely, the better guess. But that all being said, that's kind of our assumption as to where this title would have come from. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments. It's never believed to have been performed live. Here it is. It bees like that sometimes. And stay put because we only have one more song after that, and you'll want to be there for that. And for right now, here it is. It bees like that sometimes on Funkatopia Live. Here you go. We have no idea who's right. Let's see what else we got. Hoffler. If this is a Facebook star because it's blank, thank you so much. Keely's like, bring on the rabbit holes. Yes, we love those rabbit holes. Everybody loves those rabbit holes. Alfred says you must do a show after the election results. You know what's funny is that a few years ago, we actually did do a election special show, and actually my good friend Rob Rhythm, he actually is the one that hosted it. He hosted the whole thing, and he did he like pulled all types of songs, like all types of politically slanted songs, some from Prince, like America. So, I mean, it's all kinds of different stuff, but there's plenty of just specific Prince songs that we could certainly put together a political show for sure. It'll be fun. That'd be great. No, I didn't say Ahmed, said auspicious. Oh, Cami looked it up. It says conducive to success, favorable. So that wasn't really favorable that he fired Revolution. So maybe that wasn't the right word. It was conducive to Prince's success, but not the Revolution's success. So maybe that was the right word. Depends on which. It depends on which angle you're looking at, I would imagine. What else we got here? Brian said we should Zoom on election night and watch together. That'll be terrifying. Oh my gosh, you're right. That is November 3rd. That would be the day that I wanted to take off. I don't know. There's plenty of time. Maybe I'll throw together a pre-recorded show or whatever, and maybe pop in during. The only problem here's the other problem with these election shows, or with the election night, is because there's so many times where it's just like blown out. Even when Obama won, and it was like really obvious that he was going to win, and everybody knew that he was going to win, they would not call it until like 1 o'clock in the morning. It was like so late when they initially called it. So, I mean, we would have to stay up really, really late in order for that to work. And so I don't know. It would be fun. It definitely would be fun to do a election night show for sure. But that was the one I was going to. That was the day I was going to take off. I just got done telling you I was going to take off that day. You guys are crazy. You guys are nuts. I don't know what you're no-chrising. Carrie said, my family knows not to bother me on Tuesday night. Yeah, Cammie said the same thing. All right, here we go. And that was It Bees Like That Sometimes, which is technically the last CD track on the second Vault CD. There are 3 Vault CDs in Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. And that song right there, It Bees Like That Sometimes, is the last song on the second CD, which means we are going to go into the third and final CD right now, but we're only doing one track. One track, just one. We're doing Emotional Pump, which is the opening track to the third Vault disc in Super Deluxe. So there's that. The reason why we're doing that is so that we would have a nice kind of 12 songs to do for part 4, and then we're done. Then we've covered all the Vault tracks, and we've done our duty. We've done our duty. There's that. Chester said, it sounds like Elephants and Flowers, talking about It Bees Like That Sometimes. Yeah, it does, actually. It's kind of got that same bounce. Absolutely got that same bounce. Anyways, let's move on to the next song. That song is Emotional Pump. It's the last song in this third part of this 4-part series. Recorded October 16th, 1986 at Sunset Sound in Hollywood. No surprise to anyone who actually has done a little bit of research on Prince and some of his likes and dislikes and whatnot, but he loved Joni Mitchell. He said, she taught me a lot about color and sound, and to her, I'm very grateful. And this song, Emotional Pump, was ultimately a song that he wrote for Joni Mitchell that he wanted her to sing. He constructed it. He did some guide vocals for her, and he just sent it to her. And she just couldn't get into it. Vocally, she just couldn't wrap herself into it. And so she declined. And that had to be crushing for Prince. It's just, I mean, he worshiped Joni Mitchell. So if you could imagine, just think about who your favorite artist is right now. Okay. Obviously, for many of us, it's Prince. Okay. Imagine you have a direct line to Prince. Okay. Not like, many of us, I got to meet him a few times, which was a blessing. And I feel so honored that I got an opportunity to meet him a few times and actually shake his hand and be in front of him. And I'm obviously blessed, but for many, many, many of us, a huge disproportionate amount of people, many of us have never met him. But imagine this in your head. somehow you have a direct line to Prince. You have an absolute positive direct line. I got to turn off the vibrator on my phone. You have a direct line to Prince, and you have the opportunity to write a song for him. And he's waiting for it. He's like, yeah, write me a song. So you pour your heart and I mean, you're thinking about everything. You're thinking about the lyrics. You're thinking about the song structure. You obviously admire everything that he does. You're working so hard, and you work really hard on it. You're like crafting and recrafting the lyrics and making sure it fits in a certain way, and maybe that it flows a certain way, and maybe you throw in some things that he would normally say, and you craft a song and you put it together and you send it to him, and he's like, nah. No matter if you really honestly put in the hard work and did all that stuff, you would be crushed. You'd be crushed. And that had to be exactly how he felt. It's just, I mean, even when he was constructing this song for Joni, he even wrote a lot of lyrics that were very typical Joni sounding lyrics. Like there's some lyrics, I noticed the rain more than I used to. I'm so blue, bluer than I used to be. Stars outside my window, counting just for fun. I counted 2002. That's really Joni Mitchell-esque type of lyrics. And it's so he really kind of went overboard to make sure that he really did the best job that he could crafting this song for Joni, because it meant a lot to him. And Joni just said, I know him, and we've had abortive attempts to work together. First off, let me stop in the middle of this quote here. Okay, what a weird thing to say. It just didn't work. You could have said, yeah, it just didn't work out. When we tried to work together, a few times. It just didn't work out. And she went with, we've had abortive attempts to work together. Abortive is the word that she used. Anyways, the quote is, I know him, and we've had abortive attempts to work together. He sent me a song for me to sing, and I said, I can't do it. I'm not used to singing things I can't understand. It was called Emotional Pump. And the first line was, you are my emotional pump. You make my body jump. It's quite a good song, but it's probably a hit for someone else. So basically, that was her version of no. So what Prince did, what probably you would expect Prince to do, is he retreated into the studio, and he decided that he was going to start experimenting with recording himself in a higher registry that would ultimately become what we all know and love as Camille. And there's a quote from engineer Coke Johnson, who said he was writing so many songs and doing so much stuff that he got tired of his voice singing the solo on all the songs. So we got a couple of special effects devices. One of them was called the Publicin Infernal Machine, which is a pitch changing device, which he can sing in his normal voice and it'll come out like on Bob's George. He could actually sing in his normal register, and we could transpose it down or we could transpose it up. And when he started singing in his falsetto, in his head tone, it was such a pure tone that there was nothing out on the radio that sounded anything like that. And I think he liked that. And then he was just trying to find the right song and the right vehicle to exploit that sound. And again, that ultimately is what became what we all refer to as the Camille voice, or his alter ego, Camille. So ultimately, even though it was an abortive attempt to work together, we probably should be very, very thankful to Joni that she declined and forced him back into the studio to discover his alter ego, Camille, which would then bring us all kinds of amazing songs like Housequake, Rebirth of the Flesh, If I Was Your Girlfriend, Rock Hard in a Funky Place, and on and on and on. So thank you, Joni. Here it is. never believed to have been performed live. It's Prince on all vocals and instruments, Eric Leeds on sax, and Atlanta Bliss on trumpet. Here it is, the last song of part 3, Emotional Pump. Enjoy. All right. Let's see what we missed here. So everybody's telling me not to do the election coverage. Well, yeah, so here's the thing about the election coverage. It really all depends on how you're expecting this to pan out. If you're wanting Biden to win, you could be very, very upset on election night. If you're wanting Trump to win, you could be very upset. So there's going to be a huge portion of people that are going to be upset about the outcome no matter what happens on elections. So I don't think it's a good idea. Maybe if we just hang out like when stuff, it's just too early. It's just because the ballot boxes the ballots close at normally 5 or 6, I think in some places even 7, and that's whatever time zone you're in. So even the California side of things, so the West Coast doesn't even close until midnight, and then they still got to all count all the votes and everything. So it's like the wee hours of the morning before you know who won. And I think we're going to be absolutely friggin', yeah, we'll see. I'm waiting to see if Bruce Springsteen will move to Australia if Trump wins. He said he would. You know, it's funny. My brother-in-law and his wife said they would move to Canada if Trump won. They're still here. They're still here. I'm waiting to see if Trump moves if he wins. Yeah, no. Trump said he would move. If he lost, he was going to move to Canada. He said, or he was going to have to move or something. There's no way he's going to be. Yeah, I'm just going to leave these multi-million-dollar properties all over the country. I'm just going to leave those in place. I'm just going to. I mean, he might, but I mean, the guy's like almost like the king of New York. So it's just, I don't know, weird. Anyways, Rodney says one of my favorite songs in the outtakes set, "Emotional Pump," can be played in the club right now. That bass, yeah. Joni kind of missed it, but you know, if you're familiar with Joni Mitchell's music, this isn't really one of those songs that she doesn't really do that kind of stuff. I mean, you think all I can think is Court and Spark. That whole album runs through my head, and I can't think of her even doing anything along these lines. It's kind of weird. So I'm assuming you're talking about Prince. I was lucky enough to meet him face to face. Yeah, I did too, a few times. It's pretty, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad that I got an opportunity to meet him, to stand next to him while he was playing keyboards and sing. I got to sing to Prince right next to him. I got to sing to him, and he liked it, and he was laughing and slapping me 5, and I just, people don't get those moments in their lives. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and it was by accident that I was standing in that place that just happened to create that moment. And it was just this whole moment that just got created in this really, really brief window. And I'm blessed that happened to me, to be totally honest, because but all the instances of me meeting him happened in the 2000s. I never met him in the 80s or 90s. I know a lot of people here have. It was just awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, we're talking about like this stuff. The honor would be for him to hear it, and I would ask him to tell me why he doesn't like it and what I could change. Yeah, absolutely. If you could figure out some way to get craft it. Oh, cool. Rodney put up a link to Joni talking about Emotional Pump. Oliver says, was he really short in real life? Yes. Yeah, he was short. It was kind of like a shocking short because I'd always seen him as a giant. And then when he came around the corner and he was like only here to me, it was kind of, it was a little off putting, but he was still amazing. All right. Got to go. And that was Emotional Pump. That closes out part 3 of this amazing series that we're doing. And a lot of fun. All the parts are being moved over to Patreon. Matter of fact, I just got done moving part 2 of this album chat series that we're doing over to Patreon. That's patreon.com/Funkatopia. That's patreon.com/Funkatopia. You can actually go there and you can listen to not only this 4-part album chat that we're doing, not the 4th part because we haven't done that yet, but you can listen to all these plus all the album chats that we've done on all of Prince's album. There's only a few albums in the mix that we have not done, but we are actually working towards doing them. And of course, those include Third Eye Girl's album, Plectrum Electrum, and also Bria Valente's album. All the other albums we have done album chats for. So if you want to hear any other album that you really, really want to hear, all you got to do is head to patreon.com/Funkatopia, and the album chats are in there, and enjoy. Well, you have to become a member to get in there to hear all of them, but you can get them and you can enjoy them, and it's fun. It's great. And you can also support this radio station, which is an ASCAP licensed radio station. And so we actually take care of the artists. So whenever we're playing the music, we're also supporting the artists. We're doing the right thing, and we're going through the processes, and we're making sure that the artists are taken care of. And it's an amazing thing, and it's a blast. And I feel very, very blessed to have an opportunity to be able to do this for you guys, to be able to be passionate about something like this and share that passion with you, and just kind of dump my knowledge, and you guys are patient with all the rabbit holes that I take you guys down. So I greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to say my goodbyes here on the actual Funked Up radio station. I know you guys have been enjoying quite a bit of Prince on the radio station over the weekend and also through the days, but that's going to be ending at midnight tonight. We're going to be back to our normal broadcast schedule. So there's that. Tune in next week where we will be doing part 4 and closing up the vault tracks with the last dozen vault tracks on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe collection. And I hope you guys will absolutely tune in. I'm going to stick around for about 10 minutes more with or 5 or 10 minutes more with my folks over on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to be hanging out with them for a little bit more. But for you guys on Funked Up, thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you tuning in, and you guys are everywhere. I'm looking at the numbers. Almost every country is represented listening, and I can't thank you enough. I really, really can't. Meanwhile, here's another lost track for you. Don't let them fool you. We will see you guys next week. Good night, everyone. Adios. See you soon at some point. Good night. All right. So we are done on that side. Thank you guys all for hanging out. And it is let's see what all right, let's see where I left off. I left off with Hoffler asking, was he really short in real life? Yes, he was, which I thought was amazing to me. I don't know what was more shocking, the fact that he was a little bit shorter than I anticipated, or was it the fact that I had I never, because he was just the fact that as much as I'd seen him live, I saw the final 2 shows, his final 2 concerts that he would ever do in Atlanta, the 2 Prince Piano and Microphone tours. I was at both of those shows, which is the 26th and 27th time that I got an opportunity to see him in concert. So it was shocking to me that he, that all of that time that he was able to mask and disguise that fact that he was so short. He was a master of depth perception, and how if there was somebody that was just as short as him, he would allow them to share the stage. But if the way that he was just a master of it. It was just amazing to me how he was able to pull that off. It was just shocking. But so I think that was more of the shock more than anything else. Cammy said, I'll probably be up all night. waiting on the results. We're talking about the election. Nah, probably not. I just can't. I feel like you're going to get a good idea by the time 11 o'clock rolls around about how things are swaying. But then you've got all these huge states that can really just totally switch everything over. But normally CNN does a pretty good job. I know a lot of people are like, CNN sucks. You got to do Fox. And people say, Fox is too right wing. You got to do this and you got to do that. CNN typically does a pretty good, even keeled job at looking at all the numbers and just stating facts. So I think if you're going to follow it anywhere, that's probably the place to go. They've always kind of called it right. But it's, it is. Carrie, met him one time. Love to hear that story sometime. It'd be awesome. The one time I was telling you about was when I don't want to keep retelling the story. It sounds like I'm bragging and I'm not. It was an amazing moment. And I'll retell the story a million times if somebody asked me to, but I just happened to be standing in the right place standing next to a very, very low stage that happened to be at an after party in Atlanta, standing next to the keyboards because I couldn't get anywhere near the front of the stage. And I was kind of trapped on the side stage where people were walking in, and I was just trapped there. And I decided I'm just going to stand here until somebody says something. And then Prince came out and sat right next to me. I mean, like literally, I didn't even have to fully outstretch my hand to touch him. He was standing right there. And they went into a jam and I got to sing for him. And he was made eye contact and he was watching me and he was smiling and laughing. And, we were vibing off of each other, and he was going up chords and I was staying with him, and he was laughing and slapping me 5. And then he put his hand on my shoulder and he, went off to the front of the stage, and I was gone the rest of the night. It was like, that just friggin' happened. And the second time I met him was the exact same night, except that time he actually came out to hear the sound. And that's when he came around. He was standing in front of me when I got an opportunity to say, I can't tell you how much you mean to me, how much your music means to me. And I got a chance to shake his hand, and he gave me a little quick hug and went, and one of those little quick pats, and then left. And the third time, I technically wasn't a meet. It was at another after party, but he didn't play at that after party. It was at the same club in Atlanta, and Jerome was downstairs dancing with some random girl downstairs on the dance floor, and we started talking, and I can't remember exactly how the conversation went. It was something like, I heard Prince is here. And then he said, he goes, yeah, he's upstairs. You want to go upstairs? I was like, yes, I do want to go upstairs. So I went upstairs, and he was sitting at a table with a bunch of other people. And I came in, and, it was a pretty big table, but I kind of awkwardly sat at the table, and they were talking about something. I came in the middle of a conversation, but they were talking about something else. It was Prince, and I can't even remember who else was there because it was just Prince and whoever else. And hung out for about 5 minutes and just kind of pretended like I was supposed to be there, was trying to pay attention and trying to whatever. And I got up to get a drink. And when I came back, Prince had gotten up from the table and went over into this dark corner to talk with somebody in private. And that was pretty much it. So there was 3 times, but it was 3 times. So, it was awesome. I got that. And most people, most people don't have that opportunity. So I was blessed to have that opportunity for sure. Keith says, what do you think the next Super Deluxe will be? We'll see what happens. There's stuff happening. So let's just leave it. There's a lot of hopes. There's a lot of people. Cammy's hoping for Parade. Keith is hoping for Parade. Lotus said, you say others here are more knowledgeable about Prince, but you are awesome. It's your awesome presentation that we're here for. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, everything I'm giving you is a little bit of stuff I know, and this laundry list of books that are back here, all this friends, reaching out to people like Brown Mark that I actually have talked with and have their numbers in my phone. God forbid anything happens with this phone. In this phone, I've got Ingrid Chavez. I've got Dwayne Tudall. I've got Damon Dixon. I have Tony Mosley. I have, who else do I have in here? I have Speech from Arrested Development. I have, I think Tamar's number's in here. I have Paul Peterson's number in here. If I lose this phone, there's going to be some people mad at me. But I can do that. I can say, I wonder what the story is on this song, and I can reach out to people and I can say, can you tell me what the story is? And just kind of fill in some of these pieces. And sometimes it works out, and then sometimes I got to keep on digging, and there's not a bunch to share. Like that's one of the reasons why I've never done an album chat on Madhouse albums, because there's not a whole bunch of information. There's not a whole bunch of information there. It's like, you might talk about the beats. There may have been something personal that was going on in somebody's life at that time, but that doesn't really tell stories about the song itself. So it is what it is. Susan said, you should get together with the other guys that have shows like yours, and then we can all watch you all together. We've done that before. Kind of, sort of. I mean, I've had Funkenberry on the show a couple of times. I've been on Funkenberry's show one time. Michael Dean's been on this show. I've been on Michael Dean's show a couple of times. So we've all kind of cross-pollinated. I think the only person I don't think, I haven't been on Prince's friend's show. I haven't been on his show, and he hasn't been on here. I've never been on Peach and Black, and Peach and Black's never been on mine. Peach and Black's been on Michael Dean's. But yeah, maybe we should have. That would be pretty cool to kind of try to get something together where we have everybody all getting together, just figure out a topic and just blow through it. Just see what happens. I think that would be pretty awesome. But yeah, that'd be a good idea. That's a good stuff. Alfred says, stop bragging. This is really why I didn't say anything. Cammy says, I think you dropped something. No, it's this. I keep banging it on the desk. That's probably what you're hearing. Back up those numbers to the cloud for safekeeping. What numbers? I'd love a Christmas special with all the Prince podcasters. That would actually be pretty cool. But we've got this thing that we do, and there's some people here that can tell you about it. There's this thing that we do that's coming up. Just so we're clear, for those who don't know, it's a little thing that we do. Called Prince Giving. And it's a little bit of a, it's kind of a, I'm trying to think of the right word. Every year we switch things up. We do two things coming up this year that are a mess for me. It is a nightmare. Just so we're clear, it's a nightmare. And one is called Prince Giving, and the other one is Princemas. So we got two different things that happen for one of them, and we've kind of mixed the two. One of them is every single song from Prince in alphabetical order, and sometimes it's in discography order. So we'll play like For You, and then we'll play like songs that were unreleased around that time, and then we'll go into Prince's second album, and then songs that were unreleased during that time, and then we'll go into, and we'll Dirty Mind and Contra, and we'll go through his entire discography in chronological order, followed by the songs that were unreleased during that time. That process is ridiculous, because putting it together and getting all that stuff together is insane. And many people, it is a revered song. I mean, event. Everybody knows we've been doing it for years, and everybody looks forward to it. And it's just one of these things. It is fun. So you got that coming up. So we do have specials that are coming up. You do know that we have specials coming up. So you got to get used to that. Let me see what other things I have. Prince Giving and Princemas. Yes. Do a Zoom party. Rodney says piano microphone tickets. I don't have that. Well, you do, but not for the final 2 shows. For those of you who are wondering, Rodney and I have this thing going. It's really kind of dependent on who outlives the other. If I pass away before Rodney, this is so morbid. Rodney gets my ticket stub from the final Prince Piano and a Microphone tour, the ticket from the final concert. They're not good seats. I had horrible seats for that show, but it was amazing because of the way that auditorium, the Fox Theater, is set up. It's like set up like a cone, like an ice cream cone. And my seats were like in the back of the ice cream cone, the smaller part of the ice cream cone. So all the sound was coming in, and it was everybody back there in those seats up at the balcony was so reverent and so quiet and listening and taking it in. And it was magic. It was just unbelievable. So crappy seats, but yes, I have a ticket. If Rodney goes before me, which I have no proof that, I mean, he said it, and I would have to actually go and find it where he said it. He said he was going to give me the Black Album, one of the original Black albums that he has. So that's kind of where, it is. What was this? Somebody, what was the question? Donna says, what can you tell us about the song White Girls? I mean, not a whole bunch. I know that it was around 1984 when that was done. It was just like a jam session pretty much for the most part. And it's almost like a half hour long. And it's kind of like, it's kind of just, it's really, really similar to Ice Cream in a way, where it's just this jam session. It's just white girls. But I mean, there's not a whole bunch to tell about it. It's just a jam session. And I know there's been various people, and it was done around the time of Ice Cream Castles and also Erotic City. And they would kind of just throw all these different various things in, but there's not a whole bunch to say about White Girls other than it being a jam session. I'm not really sure the history of it, but I will be more than happy to look it up for you. But to get like a list of like unreleased tracks so I can get some history on for you guys. What are the Prince.org admins? That would be cool. I don't know what you mean by that question. I don't know who they are. I know they have some rules, like you can't post bootlegs or anything like that in Prince.org, but that's the only thing they don't care about. They allow people to kind of just do whatever. But it's kind of nuts. Oh no. Oh, and Ronnie says the 1983 First Avenue tickets I will get. Okay. So yeah, so we've got that. Yeah, so what Ronnie is talking about is I actually have a shadow box that's totally built around these tickets. And Ronnie has been eyeballing these tickets forever. I don't think you can actually see them, But there they are right there. That shadow box that's next to the Kendrick Lamar thing, that shadow box that's right there, that is the poster that I bought at that. That is the Prince Piano and a Microphone tour book. That is also the VIP pass that's hanging from it. And then, of course, then you have the 2 tickets from the 2 shows, the 7 p.m. show and the 11 p.m. show. And then, as you can see, I got a bunch of other Prince stuff that's on the wall. But those tickets, the one in particular from the 10 p.m. show is the one that Rodney keeps. That's the one that he keeps looking at, and he's not wishing any ill will. I can't put this back up. He's not wishing any ill will on me. I don't think he's not wishing any ill will on me, but there they are. That's what we're talking about. Let's see what else. Hoffer's calling me fat. Oh no, he's saying because I have the beard. Gotcha. Let's see what Susie said. Frank came over to visit today. She was shocked how much stuff I have in my apartment with Prince. LOL. Everybody that comes in this office sees all this stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever seen my wall, but at one point in time, it was all Prince. Especially in 2016 when he first passed, I had every single one of his magazine covers. I had posters. I had all kinds of stuff, and it looked like it was. It looked like it was a mess. But then I decided, I have so much other stuff as well. I have all this Prince stuff that's over here. I have the picture of me and Kendrick Lamar. I have, there's Switchfoot up there. There's there's Sheila E.'s drum head right next to Sheila E.'s drum head, which is autographed by Sheila E. George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic right below that. That's me and Flava Flav and me and Chuck D from Public Enemy. There is me up there. There's a set list that you can see that's up there with me and Jesse Johnson. It's me hanging out with Jesse Johnson, the whole set list, his guitar pick. There's Morris Day and the Times promo pick. There's all kinds of pictures of me and Andy Allo, me and Tamar, me and Jelly Bean, me and Eric Leeds, me and Leanne LaHavis, me and Morris Hayes, Tony. I mean, so there's so much stuff that's here. I just said, you know what? It makes more sense if it's not all Prince. If 100% of it is all Prince, it almost kind of comes across a little psychotic. So I wanted to kind of make sure that, I'm looking at the wall right. There's me and Public Enemy, me and Fishbone, George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, Leanne Rimes, Switchfoot, The Fix, which is my all-time favorite 80s band, Leanne LaHavis, NPG, everybody from Morris Hayes, Tony M, Levi, so many different, Jelly Bean Johnson, me and Shelby J, Ingrid Chavez, Van Hunt, just Blue October, Speech from Arrested Development, Third Eye Girl, Mother's Finest. I mean, I have all these photos of all these bands that I've got an opportunity to meet. And I just thought, I need to really print out these photos and just put them on the wall. And they don't all need to be Prince. I know when you see this behind me, you're like, that's all Prince. There's tons more than just that. But it used to be, I feel you. You get just psychotic. Yeah, Susie said I should have one show you just, I've got some really, really funny stories with some of these. They're really, really funny. Yeah, it is a pretty great collection. But I've been in music. I've been involved in music. I was a performer. I used to sing. I sang professionally. I've done national television commercials. I sang for, I've done acting commercials for United Way. I've sang on a Coca-Cola commercial. I've sang two commercials for Nancy Reagan, obviously before she passed. So I've played with I've sang with multiple bands. So I've done that whole thing. So I was always involved with bands and I was always enamored and just the whole mystique. And, you know, and that was the other reason too, is that, you know, just like Stacy says here, Stacy says, I need a validation room in my basement. Yeah. It's just kind of like, you need to kind of put the stuff up to show people, you know, it's not just me, you know, there's me hanging out with Flava Flav. People want to know tell me that story. Me hanging out with George Clinton in Parliament Funkadelic. What's that story? Oh, there's me hanging out with Kendrick Lamar. What's that story? So these stories, they're stories there for sure. And that probably could take up a whole, that could take up a whole entire show for sure. Stacey says, Rodney, save these chats for probate judge. Yeah, I'm gonna have to save. Yeah, definitely save the chats for probate judge, sir, just in case you go before I do. Actually, here's the reality of it, Rodney. If you go before I do, I couldn't even bring myself to even. I couldn't even bring myself to even ask. You know, Rodney and I are good friends, and I wouldn't wish anything on him at all. I would love to just give that to him, but obviously everybody here understands the significance of that ticket and the significance of that's his final show. I was there sitting with 2,400 people. Me and 2,400 other people saw his final concert. That's it. Nobody else saw his final show. So there's 2,400 of those tickets floating around somewhere. And probably a huge chunk of folks just probably threw it away or got those. No, everybody had those ticket stubs like that because they wouldn't have, for some reason they didn't do the paper tickets, which is great. They just had the actual ticket stubs, which I'm glad they did because that makes them absolute collector's editions. But you know, I would love to give it just because what am I going to do with it? If I die, it's just paper. But it's also stories for your kids and your grandkids to tell and who are probably ultimately down the road going to end up selling them. But as I stand for right now, it is what it is. And I'm going to have to, if Rodney makes good on this, and then one of my heirs is going to have to open that shadow box and take that ticket out, take that ticket out and send it to Rodney. So anyways, yeah. Yes, they are. Look, guys, I'm going to head on out. I'm going to go to bed. It's 11:30 here in Atlanta, and I got to get up early and work, and I've got to get kids on the bus. Not kids on the bus. Funny enough, my daughter actually goes, well, one of my daughters is a senior in high school, and she drives, so I don't have to worry about her. But my other daughter goes to middle school, which is right next to the neighborhood that we live in, like right next door. Matter of fact, it's so close that they refuse to send buses around to us. So every kid that is in this neighborhood has to walk to the school. There is no buses. They have buses for kids with special needs, but nope, they will not send a bus in here. So if you're a kid in this neighborhood, you have to walk to the school. So I walk her to school or I drive her to school in the morning. So either way, so we got stuff to do, but good night. Thank you guys all for, everything. And I greatly appreciate it. And thank you. We'll see you next week. Remember, next week, Melvin Riley from Ready for the Word will be here. And then on top of that, we're going to be doing part 4 of this special. We're going to close out this vault scenario. So everybody's going to have a good one. Thank you guys for saying, and again, thank you for all the Facebook stars. You guys are amazing. Hoffler, bye from Australia. Get some rest, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. And I don't know what wordging is. Carrie says, I'm still wordging. I don't know what wordging is. I'm sure it's a misspelling, but is it a misspelling for wiring? I don't know. Oh, working. Well, I hope I help you burn some time. Good night, everyone. We'll see you later. I'll take the audio from this and I will rework the audio and make sure that we get that the audio version up on Patreon for sure. And any video that I happen to download, I'm also saving everything up on Google Drive. And occasionally, I may unlock the doors for some of that stuff. It's going to be fun. Good night, everyone. Get some rest. Good night. Oh, yes, Cammie. Your surgery is Friday. Good luck with that. I know you've been in just amazing pain and grief, and prayers up. You sent me a card to send to my parents, and I am going to stick their address on it and send it, and we'll take care of that for you. Thank you for sending that. I'm sure they will appreciate it. I did not open it, even though I almost did, because it said Mr. and Mrs. Horton. I thought it was to me, and I was like, okay, then I read it. So I will send it. I'll make sure it's taken care of. Yes, I never had buses either. Well, I had buses in high school, but that was it. I had to walk everywhere else. Uphill in the snow, both ways. Good night. Prayers up for Cammie and everybody else. Rest in peace, Dimitri. And I hope you're sitting up there and got to listen in. And prayers up for everybody that's experiencing any hardship right now. You guys need it for sure. We'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.